Welcome back, everyone, to ESA Cup Season 7. These are some faces you haven't seen in a while. I'm Pastor, joined by Pooble. We are back, baby, for this new season, Week 3, closing out with these Group B games. You can see the schedule down below us. Evo 5 versus E-Wave will be first up. So let's start breaking that one down, Joe. First of all, how are you doing? It's been a while.
It's been a very long while since we've sort of sat in the caster seat. We've been biding our time, a bit of illness, a bit of sort of conflict
Yeah.
schedules applying, but we're here, we're back in ESA. Quite a bit has gone down, as you said. We've had some teams moving around, a couple roster shakeups,
Yeah.
but here's a familiar face. E-Wave still with us in our first match.
Yeah, absolutely. If we just have a look at how they're doing in their group, then E-Wave, they're doing all right. They had a 8-7 loss in the first week. That max OT against Flawless 7, who've a couple familiar faces on there. We'll get to them later on in the show, and then a pretty swift 7-4 win against Empire Esports. So all things considered, a pretty decent start to their season, Joe.
Yep, and it realistically, looking at this schedule and looking at these standings, it should continue to be like that as they're against Evo 5, who, as you can see there, only winning 2 rounds so far within 2 Playdays, it being a quick 7-0 loss to Windows Key and then a 7-2 loss on top of that as well. So
Yeah.
this maybe isn't an exactly formidable opponent for them, and a team sort of E-Wave's pedigree should realistically keep going through this group stage and continue having a pretty decent start here.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that E-Wave are really going to be challenged today. Obviously, things can surprise us. I mean, let's just have a little think about the major that's happening at the moment. How many
Yep.
upsets have we seen in Atlanta? I'm maybe there is a world where the same thing kind of happens here. However, let's just have a look at how all of you folks at home think this game will line up. And yeah, it seems like E-Wave is the pretty heavy favourites, but I respect the dedication. Those of you who are voting for Evo 5, we respect it.
Yep, a comeback has got to start somewhere, right? This match,
Yeah.
although the odds are heavily stacked against them, as we've been saying, that even at the highest level of play, the stats can only sort of predict so accurately. Eventually, you are going to get an upset, an outlier in these
Yeah.
matches, and this could be Evo 5's chance to get that first win on the board, get even just a solid loss on the board, because right now they still haven't looked very competitive. So even something
Yeah.
like a 7-5 loss or potentially OT, they can walk away with that fairly happy, I think, as they've shown a significant improvement in performance compared to those first 2 matches.
Yeah, absolutely. They've also played Windows Key got 7-0'd, but that's a team that we have lots of familiar faces on.
Yeah.
Thinking about FOD, thinking about Tatters as well. And if my memory serves me correctly, um there was Project 100 fourth place last season. So you've got some high profile names they
Yeah.
came up against there. It's not necessarily the worst result. And then looking towards their other game, Aspire are currently top of the group. So they've had a pretty rough go of things so far. E-Wave are a little bit further down than Aspire, so maybe this could be Evo's chance to really get into the action.
Yep, absolutely. They still have that one loss on their record, so it's not been a perfect start. So they do need to keep racking up these wins. This may not seem like the most important match, but if E-Wave let this slip, that is
Yeah.
essentially what really is a free sort of 3 points that they have lost. So they do need to be dialed in right here to get this match win, because even weaker opponents, if you leave them to go unchecked, they're in this competition for a reason. They can still take a map off of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that coming in, are we able to just get some? I actually am not too sure what we've seen already. Let's get some map statistics up just to see, what each map is looking like. This is apparently across OPL itself between these teams. I'm not entirely sure, but this gives us a pretty good place to start from. If we look at where these teams have played in the past as well, we had E-Wave F7 was on Clubhouse. Windows Key Evo 5 was on Cafe. Then it was a Chalet for Evo 5 Aspire. and a Chalet from E-Wave as well. So both teams played Chalet yesterday. Thinking about that then, where do you expect this map to end up, Joe?
Well, they've kind of picked more of those sort of scrappier maps. Sure, Bank being their best for Evo 5 anyway, maybe suggest otherwise, but that's
Yeah,
just because I'd imagine that was the 7-2 loss and not the 7-0 loss. So there's still not much to really go on the statistics. If you are in this sort of situation, though, in a, dare I say, a David versus Goliath matchup, with
yeah,
E-Wave being one of those sort of more storied console teams, you maybe just want to go to a sort of brawl fest, right? Go to one of those maps that aren't too strat heavy, something like your Oregon, like your Border, just something where you can rely more on gunfights than sort of good strats and good team play, where you can
yeah.
potentially just take your team over the edge.
Okay, well, let's have a look at those map bans then. Have a look, see where we're going. 9 maps in the pool, 8 are out, 1 will be played, and it is Clubhouse Border, making it very close to the end there. You're almost right, but E-Wave had that final ban. They had a close loss in against Flawless 7 again in that first week on this map against Evo 5, which, we would say perhaps a weaker opponent.
Hmm.
I reckon that we have a good chance here. I don't know if we can get the predictions up as well. Before this game, before I even seen the veto, I already said E-Wave. So if we just look through here, we can also shame the people that didn't
Uh,
predict.
no, we don't. We can leave them. We can let them
Oh,
be. It's a very simple
oh,
mistake to make, not doing
okay,
your predictions.
okay.
As you can
I
see,
wonder
a
why
lot of
you'd be
E-Wave
saying
support.
that, Joe.
We
Yeah.
just ignore the specifics. And as you can see, there was a
Oh,
slight
oh
visual glitch
dear.
there. It's not showing my predictions, but
Oh,
I
I
can
wonder
assure
why
you,
that
I
is.
did
I
vote for
wonder
E-Wave. I
that.
definitely did vote for E-Wave. It's just, yep, there, just move it along. There we go. So yeah, a resounding support for E-Wave in these predictions, and you can't really blame them for thinking that. E-Wave have been a very sort of strong team. They've been a long-lasting team as well on the scene, a scene that's very volatile.
Yeah,
So they really should be winning this, and they're against quite a weak opponent. So my only sort of concerns for them is don't step off the gas, right? You need to just keep on going. Doesn't matter if Evo 5 are the
for
sort of
sure.
bottom feeders of the group. You need to keep playing to win, or else you could let this slip away.
Yes. It, there is real potential chance for an upset then. So Evo 5 on the left, E-Wave on the right. This first ban coming through will be a Montaigne for Evo, or taken out by Evo 5 even. Not necessarily surprising for Clubhouse, I don't think. Would you have any thoughts of that? Obviously, we've seen a lot of Montaigne over the years, especially on maps like Clubhouse, thinking about taking into that rafters position if you're attacking onto CCTV, which has had a bit of a resurgence as a bomb site as well in those defensive preferences. Just
Yeah,
in general, Monty seems like a
yeah.
good ban.
My only issue with that is Evo 5 already demonstrated to be kind of a weak team, and Monty can be very, very strong here. So you could potentially patch up a bit of that weak teamwork by just sending a Monty in to cause that pressure. So Evo 5 might have
Yeah,
potentially neutered themselves here by getting rid of the operator. Ying and Fenrir also seeing the ban phase, not too uncommon at all on Clubhouse. Ying
no,
really makes attacking that basement a lot easier, and that is a site that is kind of almost your free win for the defense. So getting rid of that makes it even more of a free win. And Fenrir, just such an annoying, oppressive operator on that defense, has such value across the entire phase of the round. And Azami being that final band operator as well, another strong pick that we've seen for must be a year now. I think she's been in competitive play, just continually
oh yeah,
causing a nuisance for the attack. So really not too uncommon of a ban phase here. I would have just liked to see Evo 5 maybe not ban that Monty and use it instead,
yeah.
because they have shown to be a sort of weaker team at the moment.
Unrelated, I love that Beast Coast background. That looks so sick.
They're very good.
the,
The
the new
esports
team
sort of
backgrounds are
backgrounds,
good.
very good.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how we sort of coped with the really basic default ones for so long, but who knows? Nevertheless, we're starting off here, Joe, into the basement. I'm already seeing some spice on that attack in lineup, but obviously things can change with attacker repick. As for the defense, nothing too out of the ordinary. Solis could be a bit of an interesting one on this site specifically. You're giving up things like ADSs, things like Kaid, in place of Solis and Castle and Valkyrie. But apart from that, it's nothing crazy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't even really matter because E-Wave don't look to be bringing any nades. Yana obviously losing those frag grenades, so there's
Mhm.
nothing to really take advantage of this sort of slightly off-meta comp here. Castle as well was sort of a commonplace in these extended clubhouse rooms back in the days, kind of fallen out of favor a little bit as time goes on. No pulse either. Some teams just prefer to go purely for that vertical play with the pulse, but he is not seeing the playing field here at all. So Evo 5 really going for a much more sort of laid back roam, not going too far away from the site, always being close to just be able to rotate back. Sweden, I think, might just be the furthest away. He's in these bathrooms looking for an early engagement, and he does find it. And Pat misses the shots. He needs to try and land us. He had a good advantage early on, and he
Oh
doesn't.
dear.
Pat takes him out. No nades required for that Yana at all. Gets that first pick. Only a bit of damage taken by them themselves. And already E-Wave onto an advantage.
Had a castle barricade left in the pocket as well. Not really what you want to see, but there is the response from Evo 5. Anubis through that angle. Very difficult for the attack, but he's caught out himself. Dex on a tear through the main stairs. There's a double kill. Vexer going down as well into a 2 versus 4 for Evo 5. Already in the man deficit with just a minute and 15 seconds gone of this round. C4 could come in handy though. Tuma also has one, so this vertical act pressure is possibly a point of danger as Alio takes almost half of his damage. The vertical angles come through, nearly taking out the Valkyrie downstairs. A lot of damage dealt, and there is going to be that response. Lima with a pick onto Alio into a 2 versus 3.
Yeah, but no nitro cells remaining here, so there's only going to be sort of down to gunfights to deny these plants. You can't indirectly get kills anymore, and with Lima being taken down,
no.
it's all on Tuma now, on this mute, low capacity on that SMG as well, so he's really going to try and pick these one-on-one engagements. Finds one, misses the shots though. Rizraz remaining alive, remaining a nuisance in blue. Tuma now really boxed in Church, trying his best to find any kill he can as Don getting that diffuser down. About to add even more problems to Tuma's list here as he's now all the way back in Church, prone behind this counter, nowhere to go, eventually put out of his misery by Rizraz as E-Wave get quite a convincing first round.
Guns come alive for E-Wave there, and it works out for them. Big point is Dex, the
Well, we're having a couple of technical difficulties, it seems.
I
I was
guess
not
so.
expecting this.
Nor was I.
I didn't know this was a screen that could be shown, but look at that dog. Tell him to put that plug back in. What is he doing?
What a
Crashing our
rascal.
broadcast.
What a
That's why cats are
rascal.
better. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about that round we just saw and how it seemed like there was a bit of a lack of intel to the side of the defense there, despite them having
They had a
that Valkyrie in play.
Yeah.
And to be honest, a bit of a lack of intel on the side of the attack as well. It seemed like a lot of them were just sort of catching each other off guard. They didn't really know where people would be, just face checking everything. It did work out eventually for E-Wave, although things looked a bit scary when that initial trade came in and the Warden was still in play around bar. He's quickly dispatched of, though, by Dex on that book, who continued to just roll through the map, getting more and more picks, but still, it was a very scrappy early round that E-Wave eventually got in their favor, so you'd like to see sort of the defense choosing, sort of relying and focusing a bit more on this intel, although they've gone in the completely opposite direction, a lot more of an aggressive lineup here, specifically looking at that dock of Lima, right? An operator that is really sort of focused on just taking gunfights, taking damage early on, trading with opponents because you have the benefit of that self-revive and that full heal as well, 3 of them in pocket for the dock. So it looks like Evo 5 are going to try and go for a bit more of a gunfight-heavy strat here. But E-Wave did just sort of annihilate them in that first round, so it might not be the best choice as Anubis is already taken down.
Brilliant team play from the side of E-Wave. They had the drones on him. They had everything prepared. Rizraz does get called out. Dex is there to cover, making sure that Rizraz doesn't get fully confirmed. Just jumping in, throwing a little bit more pressure. Sweden taking damage, but he finds kill onto Dex. Now Rizraz still on the deck outside. Could also be picked up here. Sweden does need to be careful about this player that has rotated up these red stairs. Actually, they went back down. Alio taking down Vexer as well into technically a 3 versus 3 unless Rizraz finds himself picked up. Sweden! Oh, he looked for the player, didn't hear the rappel, and Don takes him down. 2 versus 3. Rizraz nearly dead, just about able to be picked up there by Don into now a 2-man deficit again for Evo 5. And about this 1 minute 15 seconds mark, or that amount of time has gone in the round, it's the exact same thing. It's a 2 versus 4, just Lima and Tuma left alive. This time, though, the 1v4 does come quicker for Tuma, and he can't even land one. Pat shuts him down. Again, lack of information and just a lack of gun skill, meaning Evo 5 get absolutely shut down here on Clubhouse.
Yeah, and it's another scrappy sort of early round there. We saw a very, very fast engagement onto Anubis on that ward and immediately being pinched out thanks to that drone intel being relayed throughout the E-Wave comms, allows him to just be taken out mid-vault. No chance for him to really respond to that. Sure,
Yeah.
there is a down outside and even a kill as well, but E-Wave was still just on top of things, and it was down to a couple bad plays in Evo 5 that run out from the breach. Not really sure if they were aware that or weren't aware that there was a rappel, or if they thought it was perhaps a lower rappel onto that platform, but still, it wasn't good overall from Evo 5. They're still sort of showing that they are just quite frankly a lesser sort of skilled team than E-Wave currently, and they aren't really playing around that either. We saw them initially go for sort of a very relaxed roam. We then saw them go for a bit more of an aggressive roam, but there wasn't sort of the other facets to back that up. There was no real sort of intel allowing those roamers to go for these picks. Instead,
Yeah.
E-Wave were on top of things. So for Evo 5, the answer here might just be investing all your resources into a successful wide roam and to just try and be aggressive, try and catch E-Wave off guard. Because if you let E-Wave play at their pace as they have been currently, they will just wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, here we go. There's a good start. Rizraz, I don't even know if he saw Sweden, but still takes him down, just opening up the barricade, caught in the crossfire. There's the aggression that we wanted to see, but not applied in the correct way. I was going to comment as well, we see a bit more of an anchoring setup. Lima gone from a dock to an echo. A bit of a switch up there for that player, just changing roles up a little bit. Pat as well, trying to open up this wall. It goes all the way fully through. I'm a bit interested as to why we haven't seen it go on the top first. I guess they didn't want to trick, just open up that line of sight for the bandit charges. Now we should see Don start to open up this wall, allowing entry to the bomb site for E-Wave. Bit of a misplaced drone, but still should be okay. The visual static as well, though, will be a thorn in their side.
Yeah, but still, E-Wave have that man advantage. They've got a massive pressure taken off their shoulders now because they can just continue to play for trades here, play a very slow style. They've already breached open the one wall onto site, so they are this close from being able to put that diffuser down. So now, just play things slow, get all the intel you need, try and get another pick around Garage if there even is a player there. If not, you can just try and go for a default plan, as already there's more attacking pressure in construction now. Tuma on a lick of health on that mute, again, only with that SMG-11, so he can't even really fend off multiple opponents. Lima in that garage position, but he's off that drone now. So that one piece of utility he did provide that could have been useful, could have been the sort of key to solving this puzzle, isn't being able to be used anymore because he has to act as a gun here to try and stop E-Wave from doing this onslaught. Pat just throws these flashes onto top red. E-Wave really just on top of things here as they have such a good advantage. But Lima gets the pick. They still have a chance, but with another trade going the way, E-Wave, they just don't want to lose here.
Another 2 versus 4 situation, made it 2 versus 3 by Vexer. This has been very impressive stuff. Lima in a 1v3 now, finds the first, but Case being planted by Don. Dex chucks out the drone. They know Lima's position, he hops through, gets the confirmation onto Alio, but that is diffuser confirmed. 45 seconds on the clock now, and now the rotation has come through from E-Wave. Round the back side, Dex shuts it down. Lima had zero chance. And there's going to be the timeout. 3-0 down. Evo 5, they want to talk things through.
Yeah, and I think the problems for Evo 5 there really stem from that early loss. You had that echo to really facilitate. So we get another technical difficulty screen here. I've been informed, as we are on a bit of a delay, we've been informed this is only going to be about 5 seconds, so you won't see this dog for too much longer. But I like the pick to the echo there. It allows you to really just drone out for your team as if you're on the attack. It allows you to go around, get intel. That's great for your roamers. Said roamer died within the first 10 seconds off a spawn peak. So, you know, maybe not the best allocation of your resources there. Really, that could have been the one thing that could help Evo 5 massively in taking out E-Wave and knowing where they're coming from, just having that drone buzzing along. But once you lose that Jaeger, you lose the other person in garage, first off, and you lose a body as well. So it already just completely crumbles that strategy. It forces Lima to get on that gun. He can't be on those drones anymore. And sure, on that gun, he put up a good fighting chance, got it down to almost as 2. But if he was allowed to just sit there and actually use that utility, I think it would have been a lot better for him. It would have been a lot better for the team in general because it would give them a chance to sort of suss out where E-Wave are coming from and respond accordingly. Because still, they just look like they're getting caught off guard every time. That E-Wave attack in a construction, there was no real response to it. They just got completely sort of forced out of that position, forced away from anywhere useful, and it allowed for E-Wave just to open so many angles onto the point. And Evo 5 still just aren't really doing anything to mitigate this. Sure, Lima's going Echo again, but if we see this misplaced aggression at another time, it's still just not really going to result in anything because you don't have the bodies to allocate someone purely onto drones. Other people then have to start sharing roles once you lose that spawn peak. So Evo 5 just need to play a bit more disciplined in this early round.
Is the big thing, is that discipline. I hope, for the sake of just everything, that we start to see some more competition out of Evo 5, because we don't want to start the day off with a 7-0, and that'd be their second 7-0 as well. I need to see something that implies that they're more competitive. That certainly isn't it. Having to open and rotate with a nitro cell. Sure, you've still got 2 nitros in pocket, but does seriously no one have a shotgun on this side? How do you... Why are there no shotguns? You've got to open that up, or at least an impact grenade. Tumor as well, taking those swings. This is that aggression that we were talking about, entirely misplaced. Tumor just gets most of his health, well, not most of his health removed, but still a decent chunk of it. Rizraz checking out the new interior of the tunnel as an interesting visual bug that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Are we convinced, Joe, by this opening and this prep phase from Evo 5? Because I have to say I am not the most thrilled about this so far.
It just seems that they got lucky. Tumor once again going for those early peaks that haven't worked out previously. He is alive this time, sure, yeah, but it's still a health deficit. It's still forced him to play much more defensive. I believe they just put 2 circular holes with a Maverick there and just shot out the bandit batteries. Nothing fancy. None of these unintended game mechanics. Just good old-fashioned circles right there. They've spoiled out the Echo drone as well. And the good thing for Evo 5 is they've at least been allowed to sort of play their game this round. They haven't lost a man early on, so they're allowed to just buzz this drone around. As Tumor goes for engagement, doesn't actually find it on decks as these 2 quickly run away afterwards. Pre-placed Nitro number 1.
So many
beautiful, another one as well. So Evo 5 in that advantage, but Rizraz quickly just rips the heart away from him, takes down 1, Tumor down as well thanks to that low HP. Anubis trades out, it's 3-3 with over a minute remaining. Make that 2-3. E-Wave have just charged into sight.
Again, we're seeing aggression. Again, we're seeing a 1 versus 3. Vexer now does manage to find the first. That's Rizraz down. Here comes the cover, though, from Pat. Plant didn't even need to be completed because E-Wave have their 4th round on the board. Evo 5, again, caught up on the back foot.
Yeah, 4 on the trot and a clubhouse attack. That's it's not looking good. And I really agree with what you said previously. It's not great starting a day on a sort of 7-0, 7-1, but also just for this Evo 5 side in general, they've only won 2 rounds so far. And you just got to feel for a team that just can't seem to get it going, you know, for whatever reasons it might be. If they might have a difficult group, they might have a couple of struggles internally. We don't know. But what we do see is a team that just simply can't find their footing at all here. And it gets a bit miserable after a while. So I would really like to see Evo 5 being a bit more competitive here. They're on the basement, which statistically should give them the most chance of success here on Clubhouse. Being that sort of most defender-favored site here, it allows them to play a lot of different styles. You can play a wide roam, potentially facilitated by an Echo, which they actually aren't bringing this time. Or you can just simply play very safe, very conservative on that full 5-man anchor here. It seems like we're seeing a majority of those Evo 5 players on this basement with just Anubis and Vex as kind of tempting around that that ground floor, maybe just shooting drones, maybe applying a bit of early pressure, but it wouldn't surprise me if by the sort of final minute and a half of this round, we see all 5 of those Evo 5 defenders on the basement, purely holding angles, stopping the attack from getting in, because that very much seems like the kind of setup they've got here.
So, again for E-Wave, It's very fast. Pat immediately taking control of Strip Club first 30 seconds. Vexer needs to be careful here on this mid floor. Dips himself down those main stairs. There is still a roamer up on the top floor that might catch E-Wave off guard. That is going to be Anubis there on the Oryx. Has got some escape routes with that hatch and, well, could also hop up a hatch should be required by virtue of playing on this operator. But he has been droned out, it looks like. Some swings coming on through. Damage dealt. None in return, actually, from this Oryx. Dokkaebi call ringing out as well. Increased pressure, and now he is dead. First minute, though, this is taking a lot longer from E-Wave to actually clear these roamers. Evo 5 have done a good job at wasting this time, forcing this attacking side to run through the motions to get this top floor fully cleared. But now they are starting to converge onto this bomb site. Tumor with a very long angle. What a shot. Taking down Pat. Zero chance of having any response to that one. Into a 4 versus 4. However, this is when we normally see E-Wave start to run away with things. Half the round is gone, and now they're starting to open up the vertical. Can the guns come alive for this attacking team yet again, or will Evo 5 finally get a round win under their belt?
Yeah, Lima's taken down very low already, though, and he's still got that Nitro in pocket. He needs to save that to get some kind of kill here to help put the odds firmly in Evo 5's favor. A late reinforcement as well being brought out just to give the defense a bit more security in church as well, as E-Wave is still just working on their setup. A minute remaining as we're seeing a late rotate. Rizraz going down the oil pit, could get one for free, and that he does. Sweden, none the wiser, taken out there by the Ash, who is now firmly placed themselves as a legitimate threat in oil pit, forcing out a smoke grenade here as well. That's one less for the potential plant, so a great bit of sort of utility wasting from the attack here, just forcing Evo 5 to make difficult decisions as Lima holds a very tight angle and loses. Rizraz, what an incredible shot, goes for the second as well. That's 3 on the round, 1 versus 4. Evo 5, it was such a promising round, but Rizraz says no, and E-Wave get their 5th.
Unbelievable from Rizraz. And yeah, sure, takes that rotation, gets the player kill for free. What also happens as a result of that, wasting that utility of the Toxic Babe, it also draws Lima away from helping to watch that main stairs push, that kitchen hatch, from watching for that flood. He has to divert attention. Every player now is worried about that side of the map as well, and it splits their attention, means that it's an easier way for E-Wave to get through. And that third kill, that, you know, that shot onto Lima, that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. This is a console tournament, by the way, ladies and gents, at home. He hit that shot with a controller. Unbelievable.
It was such a one-sided angle from the looks of it. Who knows? With how perspectives work, maybe if we were seeing that from Rizraz's screen, maybe Lima's entire body was pointing out. But from what we saw,
that would be a siege moment.
That was such a one-sided angle, and Lima didn't even have a chance. It wasn't even like he whiffed his shot. He didn't have a chance there. Rizraz just turbo peaks it, pre-fires, takes down the head of the Valkyrie in that position. A clean kill, and that just allows for him to keep on going. It was a great play there, and it's surely got to have left Evo 5 shaking here. It was the one round where they had a legitimately great start there, wasting time, getting picks as well, but even that couldn't stop E-Wave. So now really, what do? You've gone to Gym Bedroom here, which isn't even your statistically most favored site. That is the base on which you just lost in heartbreaking fashion. You've got to pull something out of here, and to be fair, Pat's gone on the Grim, so maybe they do have a fighting chance, as I'm still not that high on the Operator so far. We've seen slow improvement, but this could be the chance they need. An Operator that doesn't provide that much, but it looks like a potential peak there, just completely whiffed.
Pat has got to be the luckiest man alive. Vex has gone for a jump out as well. It has not ended well. But just the terror of seeing those tracers fly past your head, unbelievable. And just to rub salt into the wound, he's finished him off with a bailiff. Just unbelievable. Rizraz is low, however. Pat now also a bit low from that engagement with Vexer, so not necessarily the worst. Rizraz coming on through. Lima finds one. Pat a second, though, to double down and keep this player advantage alive. for the side of E-Wave into this final half. Dex again finds a kill, again into a 2 versus 4. How many times are we going to say those words, Joe? I think it's been every single round we've seen that scoreline, and pretty much
Oh,
every single round it's been left to Tumor to clutch. Um,
okay, Pat.
uh,
I,
Pat
I
Fly gets that
apologize.
kill, but what? Who was Thatcher? Who's trolling? Who's trolling? That's
It was
Dex.
Dex. I apologize, Pat. I wasn't familiar with your Grim game. 4K coming out right after I start doubting him, so incredible
Unreal.
play there. And I really just want to point out some of those star players in the E-Wave right now. You see
Yeah.
Pat, Dex, Rizraz. We've been very critical of Evo 5 into this. They've gone into it as a very low ranked team, and they've shown a lot of sort of quite severe mistakes in these 6 rounds that led to it being a 6-0. But on the other hand, you've got to sort of congratulate E-Wave for making the most of the
Yeah.
opportunities given to them. Whenever we've seen a sort of glaring hole in Evo 5's defense, E-Wave have immediately taken the opportunity, gone in, cleared out the site, gotten those picks. They've
Yeah.
had a phenomenal
Like,
game,
think
most of
about
these
round
players.
5. Like,
Yeah.
the Rizraz just finds that weakness, and the drones were on those players all the time as well. Yellow ping's constantly coming through, and when you've got players hitting shots like you've got on E-Wave, like 6-0 is understandable. 2
Yeah.
and 6, 4 and 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 6, 2 and 6. It's not great, but I mean, Rizraz is 12 and 3 right now. And of course, on the Tachanka.
Just gonna rub even more
Naturally.
salt in the wound. Although that LMG does 60 damage per shot now, I believe. It has an
Oh yeah, no,
incredibly
that's ridiculous.
high damage per shot because they're trying to even out the DPS because it has a lower sort of firing speed. So we could potentially see Rizraz get even more kills here on the Tachanka. Door already open on Garage as well. E-Wave just baiting them in as Sweden is taken down.
Oh,
it's
no.
very likely going to be the second 7-0 for Evo 5, I fear, if they can't pull out something huge in this 7th round.
Very quick early aggression, again punished by E-Wave there, Joe. It's not what you want to see. Pat is on the stairs as well, just no regard for his own life, for his own safety. And still E-Wave continuing to apply this pressure, continuing to send these shots on through. Evo 5 are quaking right now. At least the breach does get opened, making this Garage and Rafters position a little bit more awkward for Alio and Pat. However, Rizraz is keeping an eye on that breach and might just be able to find a kill with it. Dexo is the one that finds a pick. Not even entirely sure where that Doc is playing. A Don climbs up from the basement as well, thinks better of it. Anubis does take down Dexo on the other side of the map, at least brings it back into a 4 versus 3, but still possibility for that 2v4 scoreline like we've been seeing in pretty much every single round up until this point. Anubis pushing in, Lima opening up more of a breach as well, sending these drones on through. They have some information to Evo 5, but will it be enough? That's the question. Anubis taking some swings, Rizraz down. Could be a 3 versus 3 if they can get this collection, but they've got no idea that Rizraz has hit the deck here. He might even be able to get revived, but doesn't seem like there's anyone nearby. Sending in a flashbang, smoke, sending in a second as well. ADS is catching those off guard. Send it in. Lima with a kill. It's now 2 versus 3. Evo 5 have the man advantage for what seems like the first time in this entire game, Joe. And it could just get better for them, but no. Don finds one, finds two! It's now a clutch again for Lima. He has to try and save his team from utter humiliation. 7-0 on the cards. Where do you even go from here? Trying to get the case seems like a good start. Drop will have been heard. Free fires already. Rizraz with the bearing 9. Shuts it down. E-Wave never in doubt. 3 Evo 5 players immediately leaving the lobby. There goes Anubis as well. Get out of this one. Go home, say E-Wave. Nothing for Evo 5, Joe. What on earth was that?
My head was just in my hands. That it seems like whenever Evo 5 have a chance of winning a round, something just goes wrong. Are they just cursed? Can we just put it on a curse by this point? Because they should have won that. Sure. It got down fairly sort of close, but they still had that man advantage by the end of that. They had decent pressure onto the site as well. And then there's just a casual 2K coming out from E-Wave, immediately just tipping the scales back in their favor. Evo 5, you've got a lot to work on from that map. You've got a lot to think about as well. Because we wanted at least a competitive map. We said they don't even need to win. They can just lose sort of 7-4, 7-5, and they can still come out of that fairly happy because of their previous performances. Sadly, they didn't even get better than their 7-2. So things not looking good for Evo 5 there. On the contrast, E-Wave are going to be incredibly happy after that because
Oh yeah, for
they
sure.
had their free match and they made the absolute most of it, 7-0ing them, just plowing through the competition. Really good play from E-Wave there. Really good sort of heads up decision making from them as well throughout those rounds to make the most out of the scenarios they were put in. And it allowed them to get a 7-0. So that's 3 points plus 7 to their round difference as well. Really beneficial for them here.
Yeah, back up towards the top of that leaderboard. 4 of the 6 teams go through into that Swiss playoff stage. Like in the previous season, let's have a look at how that's changed up this group already. Up into first place, Aspire and Flawless 7 obviously are yet to play today, so that could all change. But it's all looking pretty good for E-Wave. You have got to admit, Joe, an Evo 5 with negative 19 round diff. That's tough.
It's not even average of 1 round per match currently.
No.
We don't know what's going on, obviously. We don't know if there's some kind of internal issues, if players are ill, if players, whatever. But what we do see is a minus 19 round differential. They need to desperately work at this because their chances of getting to Swiss, I'm not quite sure how many teams get through from the group, but their chances
4.
severely dwindling right now. They
Yeah.
need to sort of step it up, or else they will be left behind in that sort of joint bottom spot of the entire league.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to all of those as well for watching for this game. We know that there's a major happening at the same time, so if you
Mm,
are here, we appreciate it. Just a quick update on the scores then. G2 did beat GK 7-5 on the Skyscraper. BDS currently 2-0 up against W7M on Oregon. So all of that to look forward to, and you can watch some of that game during this very quick break. However, do stick around on this stream because we have another good game coming up afterwards in just a few minutes' time. Empire Esport versus Flawless 7. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Game 2, hopefully a bit of a closer affair than our first series of the day. Empire Esport versus Flawless Gaming. By the way, I'm still Pasta, still joined by Pooble over there.
I'm here.
And yeah, Empire Esport Flawless 7.
Yep, I think the big thing that kind of jumped out to me, anyway, looking at this matchup, is this Flawless 7 roster. It's, to my knowledge, a new sort of team name, but with some familiar faces, particularly Yuki and Hachi. So Hachi, 2-time ESA Cup winner. Yuki, only one, so got to up those stats a little bit. I'm afraid, no time for one-time ESA Cup winners in this cast. Personally, we don't care, but still, these are two people who've won it all basically, and they've come to yet another team to try and just sort of keep the ball rolling, to keep upping new talent, and just try and add potentially another trophy to their case. So, really, sort of interested to see how this new team is going to sort of work out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look over on the other side to Empire Gaming. This is a roster that we've seen in ESA for quite a while. Looking at Fuesco, Scripps, Sanity, Perfect, Moritz. These names we've been seeing for quite a while. Always sort of been a bit middle of the pack. I think it's fair to say. Today, they are up against a team that is very, very strong in that Flawless 7 side. And so let's just have a look at where our community thinks they are. Actually, let's have a look at the group standings first.
Yeah,
We'll go into the group standings just to see why there might be some preferences. Flawless 7 with 5 points on the board currently. Before this playday, they were in second, obviously with Eve's win. They've bumped them down by just a little bit, but 3 points here against Empire Gaming, who are yet to get a point to their name, would put them back up at the top. So based on this, I think it's a fair assumption Flawless 7 are probably going to be the heavy favourites coming into this game. And yeah, there we go. 71%. It's
it
expected.
it makes a lot of sense, but it should be a more competitive affair than the previous one. They have well, Empire have actually put up numbers in matches. It hasn't been the sort of complete blowout affairs that
So
we
hard.
saw Evo 5 in, 7-0, 7-2, 7-0. Empire have got at least 9 rounds to their names, so they have shown they can brawl. They just
Mm,
can't really get these matches over the edge, and that's something they're gonna need to work on here to take away points from a team with such storied players like Hachi, like Yuki, who will just sort of completely abuse the fact that teams can't necessarily finish out these rounds, finish out these matches, because they will just simply they love facing teams like that because it again kind of ends up being a free win.
yeah, and let's just talk about the others as well. Being on that 0 points means they're on the bottom two, currently in the elimination zone for this group phase. 24 teams in the competition, only 16 of those, four from each group, will progress into that Swiss system. And as we get towards the halfway point of this first phase of the tournament, we're going to start to get teams being eliminated. Empire and Evo 5, especially from this group, are in very dangerous situations. And the worry is, you lose today and then even lose again next week because these two teams play each other. Like Evo 5 could be eliminated before even the final Playday. It's a scary situation for these teams. We're getting to the halfway point. There's not much time left to really make a statement here in ESA.
Yeah, a loss here, and it almost feels like your fate is kind of already out of your hands.
Yeah,
You can still win, but you then have to start relying on other teams getting the win against other teams to sort of bring the bracket in your favor. So this really sort of is a must win here for Empire. And
yeah,
for the side of Flawless 7, they're really sort of licking their chops here because this should be yet another easy win for this team. And that could really propel them into a very good spot in their group, putting them on a joint first. It would be decided by round difference, I believe. No, they would hop to first, sorry, because you get 3 points for a win. So
yep,
they would get to 8 points if they win this. They would be at first. Obviously, Aspire haven't played yet either, so they would potentially still be in second, sort of coming out this day, but they would then basically be in safety if they win this. So, really, really important for them as well. And it should be a match that I think they are going to take away pretty convincingly.
yeah, absolutely. I think these first two games are a bit of a not quite as snooze fest or anything like that, but they aren't going to be the most competitive of games. This one will obviously be more competitive than the previous. It's pretty bit difficult to be less competitive if we're being honest. But game three is really where the meat is, right? Aspire versus Windows Key is
Yeah.
the real meat of this evening. But I believe that EG will be able to beat F7. So let's have a look at the predictions then. See where we go, and let's just see. Is there going to be a glitch in the graphic? We're seeing a lot of F7. Stucky actually going for Empire, our observer for this evening, going against the herd there. But yeah, we can see there's a lot of F7 support, and just need to wait to get to the next slide to see our predictions. And there you go. I said,
Hey!
I'm going to be honest, before predicting, I did not put much research into this. I went, I recognize Empire, selected them. Then I looked at the teams and saw that Flawless had Yuki and Hachi on it and went, oh,
Yeah.
but it's
And
fine.
I think
Maybe
those
there's
two
time for
might be
an
the
upset.
difference maker. I think just having that experience on your team, those two players that one of them won it twice in a row.
Mm.
So they will be able to just pick apart the weaknesses that teams like Empire here have really shown. So it really should be a sort of clean cut victory here. Guess the only thing here, other than seeing the game itself, is seeing where it's going to be played. So get that
Yeah.
map ban on the screen. We can see where these teams will be taking each other. It's going to be Bank.
Oh.
Ah, that's
Oh.
that doesn't bear well for Empire. I've got to say, it's a
Yeah.
massive map. There's so much to clear, so much to sort of wrap your brain around.
Yeah.
I think when you're going against Flawless 7 with these two really experienced players, they're gonna just love a map
I
like
I
Bank. They're
have I
gonna
have a damning stat.
oh they
Flawless 7 beat Windows Key 7-2 on Bank last week, including a 6-0 defense half. Empire Gaming have chosen to start on the attack.
Well, that's confident from Empire. We'll have to see if that confidence is misplaced, but
Yeah,
everything now seems to be stacking in favor of F7.
yeah. Although I
So
do have to
Empire,
say, it doesn't look like Yuki's playing today, so
yeah,
bit of a let off,
Empire,
but still.
Empire better. Well, even if Yuki's not playing, still 7-2 against another one
Yeah.
of those sort of group favorites. Empire better be able to back up the sort of confidence they brought into here, because going into bank just already to me looks like a mistake. It looks like something you really shouldn't have done,
Yeah.
and with hindsight, they might be thinking that sort of after this match.
Yeah, it seemed Flawless 7 has really been able to work the veto here. Clubhouse being banned out straight away, that is where Empire lost 7-5 to Aspire. That's also where F7 beat E-Wave 8-7. So there's something in that there. Chalet as well is where E-Wave beat EG, but that was actually F7's ban. They're not interested in the Chalet, it doesn't seem. They banned Chalet first against E-Wave, and I'm just looking against Windows Key. Again, ban Chalet first. That's not a map they want to go to at all. So perhaps there's just something in that. Yeah, sure, maybe EG didn't look the best on against E-Wave, but if you don't like that map, then don't go for it. However, Bank is looking like a bit of a sorry sight, I
Yeah,
have to say.
it. Who knows? Maybe they've gone away. They've seen how F7 have
VOD
played
review?
in their 7-2 win, and they've found the perfect counter, the perfect way they're going to stop F7 from just getting 6 rounds in a row on their defense. I don't think that's likely. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't think that they have really managed to get that secret answer that
Yeah.
will propel them to
Wait,
victory.
can I
I think the
backpedal here?
question we have to kind of ask now is,
Oh.
how much will Empire lose by?
Yeah,
Because
that is the question.
if they get this victory,
Yeah.
incredible. It must be one of the sort of the biggest upsets we'll see in this season of the league. But
Yeah.
it just shouldn't happen. It really should. When you just stack all the factors against Empire, F7 should have a very easy match here. So the question now really is, can they live up to it? Can they really sort of not
Yes.
squander this opportunity and just continue to get these points, get themselves up to the top of the group, get themselves out into the Swiss stage as well? Because if they do lose this somehow, things could start looking rough.
Absolutely. And yeah, just to backpedal a little bit, apparently Yuki is playing, but is playing as Rupert. So that is
Group,
Yuki.
okay.
Both of those players are in fact playing today.
Yeah, that
So
might have been your one out for Empire if one of the two former winners wasn't playing.
but
Fortunately for them, they are. So
yeah, I just got debated by the player names, unfortunately.
sometimes play names do be like that, and I will probably just call Yuki Rupert during this cast because that's what I see.
Probably. Yeah,
So I'll try.
understandable.
I'll try, Yuki. I'll try. As I'm hearing, we are getting into game now, into bank. Let's see if F7 can sort of cash in their free win token here, or if Empire will really put up a fight.
Yeah, it feels like there's a there's a couple of free win tokens here in Group B, at least from the sounds of it. So let's kick off then going into Bank. Empire Gaming, they chose to start us off onto the attack, and I have some information. We've got Exia feeding this into us. Apparently, Rupert is his surname, so that's why that is there. Apparently.
It is Rupert, isn't it? Because it's two P's. Well, that's a lot less funny. I might just call him Yuki now.
Well, I'm gonna
Anyway,
be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Some of these console names are a bit weird. I just assumed it was Rupert, but with two P's for some reason.
makes sense. Anyway, Banface, and these are two attacking operators here. The Dakaibi being taken out by F7 and Montagne by Empire. Two attacking operators that really speed up that roam clear phase of the round, right? You have the
Mhm.
Dakaibi, you can send out those pings and give those sort of audio indications of any operators nearby, and the Monty can act as a great big indestructible drone. Having both of those banned out, however, is going to likely severely limit the pace of these attacking rounds. So it looks like both teams really want to force this into a last sort of 30-20 second execute phase into this round, in these rounds, to just put a lot of pressure on the attack. With Solace being taken off the board, though, it does alleviate a bit of pressure from that attacking side. They don't have to worry that much about sort of vertical play. And with Valkyrie as well down, that's less intel for the defense. But still, this looks like it's going to be a very defender-sided map with those attacking bans.
Yeah, it, the attacking bans are certainly going to slow things down. And is that really something that Empire Gaming need in this game? Is even more obstacles to their attacks? They're already starting on a game where Flawless 7 beat Windows Key, which again is essentially Team Misclick from last stage. They beat that team 6-0 on defense half, and then there are a couple of defenses that came through from Windows Key to make it that 7-2. So you're going up against a team that has a very strong history on the defensive bank. They didn't lose a round last week on this side, on this map.
Nope.
And these attacking bans make things even more difficult for you on the attack when you're already at such a heavy disadvantage, even just as underdogs, and then with that added statistic as well.
Yeah, it seems very much like Empire's attempted solution at this sort of puzzle that is the basement attack is frag grenades. We have Finker and Gridlock, who've recently been given those frag grenades, and Nook, who has somehow maintained them. I honestly thought they'd probably take them off, but either way, 3 sets of frag grenades, 2 sets of flashes. That's 6 of each on the attacking side. Only a Jaeger to really counteract that. And with 1 pick already onto Betchy by Scripps, that immediately puts Empire in quite a good spot here. That must have been a run out just looking at the Nook's position. So with that much utility and already a man advantage, Empire, they could just win this first round.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of an underestimation from Becky there. It could just be, thinking less. That's unreal. A wall bang from Maxi to tie things up at 4-4 is silly. This first round so far has been a bit silly. And there could even be a second here from Maxi taking that pre-fire. West Ghost is going to take some damage, heals himself back up, obviously is playing on that Finker, does have that option just to juice up the team and get some of that health back. But you also had Matty there as well with the TCSG even. I only said ACS, that's not the right shotgun. The TCSG to assist him, but now they've fallen back. This mid floor looks to be pretty much fully in the control of Empire. We've got half the round left to try and leverage this into a round win.
Yep, it's a decent pace, all things considered, by Empire. Sure, they did squander that opening advantage there as Moritz was traded out. 2 sets of frag grenades sort of going off the board as well, but none of them have been used so far. So Empire still have 4 for this execute, and all those flashes, but half of them immediately taken down. Matty takes down Sanity. First Ghost as well taken low. None of this utility yet has been used by the attack, so they could potentially all die with these grenades in pocket. That could have been so pivotal in changing the way that this round goes. As Empire, they're starting to dwindle in numbers and starting to regroup as well. A bit of fear taking hold as Rixie no longer wants to take that engagement onto blue, instead just trying to hold these hatches. And Matty gets a second. 2 versus 4 now as Empire. They're just falling at the seams here. Matty, though, eventually traded out as Scripps descends to the basement. 2 versus 3 for the Nook.
Rixie as well taking that swing, takes down Maxi, now tied up yet again into a 2 versus 2. Pre-firing the mirror window, but no one is there. Needs to be wary of this angled round to the right. Punches the window, does not know of Yuki's position there. Plays it close, plays it well with a lovely shot. Scripts now into the fire and the flames, pushing on through, taking so much damage from both the Vulcan canister and the gun there of Yuki as well. Now only 10 seconds left to find something. This round is done. Flawless 7 should have this win, and indeed they are going to. There's no chance of a win now. Just going to try and plant the diffuser and gets taken down by Hachi in the end. Those final 2 players, Hachi and Yuki, that duo that we've been talking about, Joe, come to life at the end of round number 1.
Yeah, and it was really great play from Yuki there as well, adopting that off angle, didn't end up actually hiding behind all that utility the defense had, instead baited the attacker. I believe it was the Yana on Empire, going to punch that mirror window, expecting the Echo of all players to be in that defensive stronghold, but instead he sort of goes and plays the off angle, goes very aggressive for an operator that you would expect to be the one hiding there, and gets that easy pick when the attacker isn't even looking at him. So really good sort of heads up play from him, moving around, taking the attack off guard, and it was a great response from F7, all things considered. Empire sure had a good start, but they just started letting bodies drop, and the most important thing is they never got to use all that utility they brought. They had 6 chances to get a frag grenade kill, and I don't think a single nade was ever actually thrown there. Maybe one as they descend into the basement, but even then it was a gun that ended up getting that pick. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It just seems like they had a lot of tools that could have potentially done the right job, but they never used them, instead going for these face checks. And maybe it was down to F7 just playing very aggressively, but either way, they didn't play around the items that they brought to the round. So Empire are going to need to work on that as we head to this top floor attack here, because it's another site that really relies on good utility usage. 6 nades being brought once again. Can they use them this time?
I wonder. They do have a Thatcher in play as well, most likely for this Canto wall there, up by the elevators. You can see Fresco's just trying to get a look up onto that wall as we speak. They want to get that open, provide some nice long lines of sight down all the way through the stock hallway, making sure that those defensive rotations can be cut off by the attack. And indeed, there we get to see the start of it. There's no denial to come through, apart from some impacts from Yuki, but they don't land. Wall gets opened up anyway, or at least in part, by those X-Kairos from the Habana of Sanity. So that's very good control and pressure and presence gained by this attacking side of Empire. But Becky is there to find the first. Scripts falling on those main stairs.
I was just going to say, look at Scripps, look how aggressive he's gotten, but F7 reading into it perfectly. Becky going for that bit of an off angle on the table to get more of a sort of better look down those stairs, gets the pick perfect, taking down one of those sets of nades. I don't believe one of them was used either. So once again, the same issue for Empire here. They've still got 4 on the board, which is plenty for this site, but just the way this has been trending, it doesn't look like they're going to use them. Rixie instead opting to take a gunfight. They know the player's down. He does get the pick. Patchy taken down 4 versus 4 now, but a lot of time wasted as we're entering that final 60 seconds, and the top floor still heavily contested, even more so now that Matty gets one. Maxi, though, taken down very low, so it's still almost even. Empire really dragging themselves through this round as Fresco's wants to engage that mirror window, but he's got the case. He's a very vital player here. If he dies early, that might be the round just sealed in an F7's favor.
They don't know about elevator either, or at least they don't even seem to be wary of it. That mirror window commanding so much of the attention. In goes the EMP to try and delete something, but there's another kill from Becky. This position inside a conference room, absolutely pivotal, finding kills when necessary. Up goes the nade. Rixie isn't looking to his right, tries to find the shots onto Becky, does so, and there is the trap. It's sprung, and Yuki gets the kill. Matty from the other side. Banana shuts him down. Moritz taken out in the end of the round there. Flawless 7, 2 and 0, potentially even getting a flawless 7 in this game. Obviously, that's still a long way off, but they're well on their way.
Yeah, and it was down to the attack having to push up those spiral stairs. It's such an awkward position. I said, the moment cases drop there, it's likely lost the attack, because it forces more and more people to go into that position to face all of those angles. There's at least 3 once you reach top of those stairs: the elevator, banana, the conference room table that Becky was just loving, just on and off, taking those angles, taking those picks. Really good play from F7, just dictating the flow of that round, dictating the positions that Empire felt safe in. And really for Empire, once again, where's the utility usage? There was a bit more than last round. We saw nades being thrown in sort of hot areas, but there was no sort of intel to go with them. It was blind throws towards where they thought players were. A player in elevator, for example, could have easily been naded out. They had the Hibana holes there instead, but there was no drone work. Nothing to tell them that he was there, which just allowed for these F7 players to hold their angles, play their game, and get those picks. 2-0 now for F7. Something needs to change in this Empire Gaming plan, and that change might just be a very fast push. Amaru being locked in by Rixie.
Oh, let's see how that one turns out. again, if you're looking for major updates, W7M just beat BDS 7-5 in that game over there. So, again, if you are watching us instead of the major, then we appreciate it very, very much. But back to the game. The Amaru yet to come through. I am hearing a lot of hatches being opened, some windows, barricades being shot out as well. Maxi under a lot of pressure, but what a shot onto Scripps! That's unreal. The reactions there. I mean, what do you even do if you're Scripps there? That Maxi should have been dead to rights there, but Maxi's going to get another. Again, it's Flawless 7 with a massive, massive advantage here. 5 versus 3, brought back at least a little bit by Rixie. Imari finds an impact, but not with the gadgets at all. It's just the G8, and now she's taken down as well. Hachi finishes him off with the pistol. Sanity trying to watch and wait for Hachi to swing, but he might even get caught out. It's actually Matty from the stock window. 1 versus 4 now for Moritz. Into the top floor. No case. Has to transition down to the mid floor as well. This round is over.
Can't even get one. Moritz taken down there. And wasn't a flawless round. We still haven't seen a flawless round from Flawless 7, but it's a flawless quarter of this match so far. 3-0 for F7, and that was an incredibly dominant round. It's forced a timeout for Empire Gaming here. They've seen that something isn't working, despite really not sort of fixing the mistakes. Maybe they didn't even notice the mistakes. That's why the timeout is called, but it seemed very much like they were lacking in intel throughout those first 3 rounds, and they themselves haven't picked up on that, which kind of makes me worried that if they haven't even attempted that, they might not know it's there, and they might have just wasted this timeout, right? Sometimes teams panic. They just immediately pick the timeout when things aren't going right without actually being able to understand why they've lost these rounds. But it's clear to us. We have the spectator view. We have the sort of the view of what the defending team sees. There is no intel for the attack here, seemingly. Every gunfight that they've won has kind of been on a response or on a swing. We saw Rixie getting that only pick that round with the LMG, which is a direct trade. So things didn't go well for them. And it just seemed overall like Empire Gaming, they've been very static as a team. Just a perfect example of that. Outside on that balcony, we just see Sanity kind of just staring at the doorway. He makes no attempt to make a play to try and trade out that Mozzie. Just stands there and almost waits to be killed almost by those F7 players. So Empire, they need to sort of up their game up. They need to get this intel better. They need to be a bit more dynamic in these rounds, because so far they're just sort of walking into lines of sight of F7 and getting annihilated. Really good play from F7, of course, taking advantage of that. But Empire, you've got to improve this. I just hope that's something they've picked out in that timeout, because if not, this could very easily be a flawless 7 rounds for F7.
I'm hesitant to be so critical of these teams, right? Because it feels like a lot of the rounds that we've been seeing today have been from mistakes rather than good plays, right? It feels like just one team just makes less mistakes than the other, and that's why they win. I mean, we've seen
5 seconds left.
this 7-0 already. Currently, like we could see 14 rounds with 0 response in in the first 2 games here. And that's not a great prospect for Empire or for Evo 5 for their chances of making it out of this group. And the problem is we've seen Empire be competitive earlier on this season. They took the team that was top of the group, right? Team Aspire 7-5. They took E-Wave 7-4, and now against Flawless 7, they're just making so many mistakes. Only 2 of the players on this team even have kills, Joe.
Well, make it 3. Moritz gets
3.
1. Oh!
Wow.
Beautiful pick from Scripps there. Exactly what they need to springboard themselves into this round. Drone work being used beautifully there as well. We're seeing these mistakes get fixed in this round as Empire. They've got this 2-man advantage. They can start to really push the issue down in F7. Mid-floor control likely to be gained as well as Scripps just holding on the stairs, whiffs on the default cam, but still holding this angle, gets another. That's Yuki taken down. Becky and Hachi alone in this 2 versus 5. This is surely going to be an Empire win.
Well, you would say so. It is Hachi, though, on the other side. Becky as well. However, Matty, the player that's really been standing out, 7-2. have been taken out. However, that just means there's more opportunity for the other players on the team to step up to the plate to have these big impact moments. However, it does seem that the timeout from Empire did actually work, right? Because that's something we didn't see in that previous game. The timeout had zero impact. This time, Empire look like they're firing on all cylinders. They're getting things right. Even if it isn't like a strategical change, they look more confident. They are taking these more aggressive gunfights. The mentality of this team has changed, and it's changed for the better. Now, head on a swivel. Becky doesn't know which way to turn. Hatchie as well, taking a lot of damage. Now spotted on the drone is Becky, trapped in a corner, now trapped in a 1 versus 5 situation. There's a flawless round, but it goes against Flawless 7. Empire Gaming with their first, and it is stunning.
It's not going to be 14-0. We might have a competitive match.
Yeah.
Really good play from Empire there, though. They completely fixed that issue I brought up with them being too static. They immediately went into that map, drone ahead of them. They had good intel. They were able to just pick apart this defensive side of Flawless 7. It forced these players from Flawless 7 as well to get a lot more aggressive. We saw, I believe it was Yuki, having to push all the white stairs to try and even out the man count. Completely blew up in his face. Empire were able to just completely dispatch of those defenders. And from there, it was basically 2 versus 5. They then immediately slowed down the pace, didn't fall into the trap that so many teams do of having a man advantage and forcing a premature execute. They played their drone work. They played that setup. They waited for one of those players of Flawless 7 to expose themselves. And then they took the opportunity, got the pick, and won the round. Really good for Empire Gaming there. Now they've just got to repeat that, because they're still trailing in this half 3-1. They have to hope that they can continue to beat Flawless 7 at this game, and maybe hope that Flawless 7 just don't adapt to this, because it's still sort of not looking good for them, right? Hachi and Yuki, very storied players. They are surely going to have sort of seen where things went wrong and implemented some kind of change in this game plan. We're seeing the Frost being brought here as well, because it's a second floor attack, which might neuter somewhat the aggressive pace being brought, and that Fenrir as well. So there's a lot more utility that Empire Gaming have to break through this time, and they've got the nades for it. So let's hope they use them.
Fingers crossed, hey. Because how many times have we seen the utility from Empire just not come into play whatsoever?
That's a cheeky angle.
Yeah. Will it work? Who knows? But we'll find out. I'm also noticing there's a bit of an outline player coming up those blue stairs. Might catch Maxi off guard if he's gonna get caught by the timing, but no. In fact, he's able to get away scot-free. It's that player coming up into square. Not going to be of any impact, at least for now. Still opportunity for a late round flank later, but we'll have to go through the beepers. I will set those off and give a sound cue to anyone defending around in that area. And in fact, Scripps has come up and has been felled by the reliable gun of Hachi.
Yeah, one set of nades down as well. That's one less set of nades that can play vertical, that can clear this utility from the defense. So it's not looking good for Empire. The good news is, though, they've got plenty of players to go for a trade, but Rixie taken down from above. Fantastic teamwork from F7 there, covering each other's blind spots as Hachi now gets a lot more aggressive. They're convinced they can get this third person in lobby. The sledge exposed himself for just a moment as Hachi gets some damage down, but Maxi ends up getting taken down instead. That's Fuesco's somewhere, I believe on the rappel, going down to lobby. There's now 2 here, but Hachi still hasn't been dealt with. Marit's down as well. 2 versus 4 now as F7 are still commanding the pace this round, still getting these early picks, and still draining this utility.
Yeah, some nades now finally coming through from Fuesco's into the elevator, but he's missed it. Is he going to check this now? Absolutely not.
It's
just sprints on through. They're not shooting. That took so long for Yuki to shoot, but now he's getting aggressive himself, caught out by just maybe a bit of overconfidence there. However, doesn't actually get a death registered on the board. Hachi's there to back him up. Old entropy teammates, and they are getting the work done inside of that round. Back to our regularly scheduled programming then, I guess.
They didn't clear elevator.
7 up 4-1. I guess they thought that the nade had cleared it, but it just didn't go as it didn't go. It went too near. It didn't go far enough in.
I guess Sure, the nade didn't go. I don't know what happened to the nade. I don't know if it
Ye
went down the hatch or if they just survived with a bit of chip damage. I'm not sure, but
I
either way,
think it just didn't even get to the doorway. It was just cooked a
they
bit too long.
they lost the last attempt at that site was lost because there was a player in elevator who went unchecked,
Yes,
no drone, nothing, was able to get that pick on the player coming up spiral.
correct.
What just happened? What happened to the last player, or the second last player this time? I
Oh,
guess there
I
was
know
one
this
on
one. I
rappel.
know this one. Can I answer? Can I answer?
Oh, go on, Cameron. What just happened? What did we just see? What did Empire just do?
They got caught out by the elevator again.
Bingo! There was no adaptation there at all. I was
Yes, I
going to
got it right.
praise
Let's
Empire.
go.
I was going to praise Empire for their drone work. It seemed like they had a lot of good drone work early on. And then I guess Hachi slips by underneath. Oh, well, that's one player. And then the drone work stops. There is no intel on the top floor once again as F7 continue to get these picks. Empire, they've got to sort of step up their drone work here. They've got to step up their drone work near a site as well. They've been good so far at clearing out other areas of site, but other areas of the map even. But the moment they get to more contested zones, that's when they just switch off their phones and go for face checks. Fresco's already low on health because he face checked Garage to try and destroy something. That could come back to bite them. Empire just kind of need to take this a bit slower, I think. Use their drones to the fullest because they're just taking unnecessary damage, getting unnecessary deaths as well. And F7 are just loving it.
Yeah, already 6 now drones are gone. I stopped saying that, and it already changes. Hachi as well takes a face check, takes an ego peek, finds one, not the second. Rixie shuts them down their top square, but
There's 3 people on the balcony!
yes.
No one's droning!
No, Frosghost is on his drone now, Rixie as well. Just clearing out this top floor, but the site's in the basement. They're taking all this time droning out the top floor, and there's nobody up here. They're just chasing ghosts. Ironically, Ghost isn't actually in the top floor. He's outside on rappel, still sitting on a drone as well. I wonder what area of the map he is looking for. Scripps now sends out one as well. Again, checking this top floor. You've got 3 people that have been on drones, and still they're not confident in the fact that this top floor is empty. They've wasted so much time. There's only 75 seconds left of the round, and they're only just starting to get these drones through the mid floor. There is so much of this map that they have no idea about, that they have no way of knowing what will be happening. Scripps now making his way down the stairs, is almost going to get called out. It's Ghost actually finds a kill onto Yuki. Somehow, Empire managed to find one back, actually have a player advantage. Right now, I'd say they do not deserve getting this win. Fresco's actually in through the garage is where he found that kill. But again, I'd say they do not deserve it because they're not playing like a team that should be winning this round. But time, again, could be that factor. They've wasted so much, and now there's another kill as well. Maxi makes it to a 3 versus 3. Scripps, though, finds a response.
2 nitros as well, so the plant is going to be difficult to stick here. They can essentially afford just play more passive for the defense and even getting that 1 pick as well.
Oh,
that's all they need. 2 versus
shot.
2. Even man count, 2 nitros on board for the defense as well. It just seems very unlikely that Empire win this unless Fresco goes huge here, but he's stuck in garage. Indecisiveness as well from Rixie as he eventually chooses to go down the white stairs, but it's almost too late. Intel gone out on Fresco's, holds their fire. Mati ends up, doesn't actually tear any of them. Rixie's taken down very low, but Becky, luckily for F7, takes them both down. Some scary moments at the end there. But Empire still fall. 5-1 for the F7. It's not going to be a flawless match, but they can still make it very one-sided.
Well, that was chaos near the end. A couple of players that were allowed to walk by, but yeah, like you said, luckily Becky was there holding the correct angle, playing it safe. And, well, that's the result. 5-1. Just a momentary blip immediately after the timeout for F7. Apart from that, they've looked so damn dominant. The only round that Empire won was a flawless. Ironically, against Flawless 7. And denying them the opportunity for a flawless game and a flawless half, because, you know, if that hadn't happened, we would be sitting at that 6-0 right now.
Yeah, luckily for Empire Gaming, though, they are 5-1 down, but they get to hop onto that bank defense. They no longer have to worry about droning, which they, the looks of things, weren't the best at on their attacking half.
They have a Mozzie,
They can instead wait for F7 to come to them, and F7 picking a couple off meta operators. We're getting that Amari once again. I wonder if Maxi is actually going to use the gadget this time. Jackal as well to try and speed up that roam clearing process as they're lacking the Montagne and the Dekaibi. Nomad as well. I'm not sure how much value that's going to find. We are seeing actually quite an extended roam here from Empire, but F7 are going to have to clear out that roam sort of first, ideally. So the Nomad might not find too much value as you're just going to want to clear them down into basement. So there's potential for a lot of these sort of off-meta picks to pop off here as Maxi really wants to go in for that window. Is he going to find any success here?
We're hoping for it. This yellow ping on the player up there. Now hopping in, caught by the Legion Mine. Has to quickly take that out. Still not being pressured by anyone on this top floor. However, Moritz is looking in his direction. Sounds of a ping are coming through as well. I'm not entirely sure which way round that is. And there's some yellow pings, but I don't even think they're in the right place at all. They're pinging nothing at the minute. Those shots, though, will at least reveal something to Maxi, keeping himself wary there. There's a lovely pre-fire. Scripps goes down. Can he get the second? Yes, Hachi as well gets in on it. Fuez Ghost, in the meantime, does take out Hachi downstairs, making it at least a little bit better. However, you've only got 2 players left alive. It's Rixie and Sanity, the latter of which has not found a kill yet inside of this game. For Empire Gaming, it doesn't look good. It looks like match point already on the cards for Flawless 7.
Yeah, and on top of this, 4 versus 2, they're on a basement defense against the Ying, so their lives are going to get a lot more miserable as we get closer to that execute, as Becky can start just launching those projectiles down hatches through doorways, flashbang, or actually no flashbangs instead, hard breach gadgets being opted for by F7, so every hatch is likely going to get opened here, meaning there's even more angles and opportunities for the attack to get down. Empire Gaming are going to have to just try and isolate 1v1 Sanity. Looking good so far. If a player drops down Vault, he could get them and just quickly dash away. Droned though, so he has to get aggressive here and just gets taken down by the hatch. Why are you chasing that drone? There's no point. As Matty now goes down 10 and 2, he breaks double digits. He's now trying to conquer this basement as Rixie left alone in the garage, completely out of sight. Matty looks for his 11, but Maxi steals it away. And F7 bring themselves up to match point.
Oh, man. We're getting some pretty quick games tonight, aren't we, Joe? That's for sure.
Maybe the next one will be a 7-2, you know? Slowly incrementing up. Next week, 7-3, 7-4. In a couple of weeks, we might get overtime, you know? We've got to look at the bright side. But things aren't looking good for the side of Empire Gaming here.
That's an understatement.
Mauled by Maxi on that second floor. And sure, that's something you can't really play around. The attempt at the trade was there. It was just Maxi popping off with that LMG. Another player as well, I think it's Hachi, got a pick on that Jackal elsewhere in the map. So it was a fast push from F7 and there was no adequate response from Empire this time. Empire on that second floor, so there's no real chance for an Amory to get in early because she would be in sight and you would expect people to be defending the site. First goes, oddly, goes for the Maestro as well. I'm not sure if this is really the pick. Maestro, very slow operator, very easy to counter nowadays as well. You're seeing as you can just punch the screen, there's a lot of explosive utility.
Brava too.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is the play for Empire, to be honest. Maestro really punishes slow attacking teams, and F7 were far from slow that round, so it might be a gamble that simply doesn't pay off. Sure, the castle can help, but just look at this lineup from F7. You've got the Yana, got the Nook, they're likely going to be getting in quick. Maxi as well can hide behind that shield, so things are going to be difficult for Empire to really stall here.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be, when the execute comes, it's going to be fast. You've got Becky on that Ying, almost a signature of that operator is just getting in explosively and finding kills while your opponent is flashed. There's no time for dilly-dallying when you bring a Ying along to an execute. Flawless 7, though, for this first 45 seconds at least, haven't actually found any action, just establishing themselves with this drone work. And that's something that we like to see, just getting the drones in first, and then when the push comes in, it's incredibly fast, but they're not rushing themselves. They're not getting too overexcited or anything like that. Just going through the motions, taking your time, making sure that you complete that checklist, and that is exactly what helps them be in this 7-1 position. The Beeper's going off, possibility for a wallbang there from Scripps, but instead he's going to get taken down to about 40 HP. Hachi nearly had the kill through the wall, however, manages to get away with his life. Slightly regressing now, up on the stairs, caught out by the knock of Hachi. Now, yellow pings as well on the nades could find some vertical pressure. Sanity takes a bit of damage. Maxi now heading to these other windows, continuing to pressure and press onto this defensive side of Empire Gaming. They're in a player disadvantage. Can they stave this off, get the second round on the board? I have to be honest, it doesn't look likely.
Yeah, at the very least, no nades anymore on the side of F7, so it's going to have to be won through gunfights here, and Flares Coast has the gun to do it. Rixie as well gets a beautiful pick onto Hachi there, bringing it to a 4v4. Flares Coast as well, still tucked in this corner, has a lot of intel he can use to his advantage as well. So the lobby cam is still up! You can shoot it from outside, F7. How are you letting that happen? Either way, Yink Candela's come in. The execute is looking to be now, but still a surprising amount of F7 players still below, still not really contributing much as these Candelas keep going in. Only one for Becky now as Maxi ends up getting one. That's Sanity taken out the board. Matty choosing to ignore the elevator, so Fresco's still allowed to remain there. Gets a pick as well. 3 versus 3 F7. You've got to convert now as Maxi ends up getting a second. No shields in pocket though as Rixie takes him down. Diffuser still not in sight as of yet. Becky whips. No! Yuki taken down as well. It's Fresco's and Rixie in the 2v1. Becky takes down one.
Nice shot.
Rixie can just hide here, surely. Becky, not the fastest operator at all, is now indecisiveness beginning to strike the 360. This goes huge! What?
There's no way.
In explosive fashion, F7 take the map 7-1. Not quite flawless, but still pretty damn good.
What is that? I don't know what to say. I really don't. How on earth?
The little turn as well.
Does F7, I know, really rubbing salt in the wound.
And like you've got to
I guess at that point, with 2 seconds left, he's just doing that 360 just to have a bit of fun with it. Probably not even expecting to get the win there, right? Just be like,
yeah. The big thing though,
that's mental.
It's not. It's a controller as well, so it's not like sort of a PC. Obviously, you can just flick the mouse really quick to get those 360. Controller, it's kind of it's a more sort of arduous, dare I say, process.
Well, yeah, we saw it there, right?
It does legitimately add like time. Sure, sensitivity and sticks can be a lot higher, but like it still takes more time really for your thumb to move that and for it to go around in that way. So it objectively almost put him at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
and he still ends up getting that clutch. The 1v2, fantastic play there. Fantastic play from F7 all around. Aside from that one blip, that flawless round for Empire, Empire just looked lost, and F7 were thoroughly taking advantage of that. Incredible play from them. I just want a more close match, though.
Yeah. I'm still in awe about that last round. I'm gonna be honest. Like I can't speak. That was just ridiculous.
Yeah. It really just sort of it takes the words out of you when a play like that happens. It was such a scrappy round as well. It looked like F7 were going to lose. You know, we were getting to the point where Candelas are being thrown and there was no one to really take advantage of that. It was almost like F7 were just throwing utility down the drain. And then in just the dying moments, they get that clutch. It was really good play, dare I say, from Empire throughout that round that quickly just fell apart thanks to individual heroics from particularly that Ying and that ESA player. There we go. I forgot the name of the operator. That ESA player on site as well, just down to both of them getting double kills, really brought the advantage back in favor and brought the win to F7 there. So
it feels
congratulations to F7 there. They've really sort of locked themselves into a high spot in the groups. Now they're overwhelmingly likely now, I'd say, to get through to Swiss. And
I'd say
things
so.
now look really bad for Empire and Evo 5. They're both still trailing winless. It really just puts a lot of pressure off the shoulders of the remaining four here because they've all got wins under their belt. Windows
For
Key
sure.
and Aspire still yet to play today, so they can put more points on board as well. But still, even if Windows Key loses this matchup, they have got a significantly better round diff than these other two teams on 0 points. So
Yeah.
they are much more likely to remain in the competition.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like that's a round that F7 don't deserve to win. But
Mm.
hey, they're able to get it across in those moments, and that is that factor that we've been talking about. That is the difference between these two teams. You can get it across the line even when you shouldn't. That is those are teams that can win championships. Yuki and
Yeah,
Hachi have done it before. Can they do it again? Obviously, that is a few months down the line. We still have more action coming up for you tonight. It's Aspire by EOS taking on Windows Key for the final game of today, the final game of this week, even. You do not want to miss that one. Hopefully, it'll be a bit of a tighter affair. We'll just have to wait and find out after this quick break. Welcome back, everyone. 7-0, 7-1. Can this game be better? Aspire versus Windows Key. I am still Pasta, still joined by Pooble. I've accidentally kicked my desk, but it's okay because we have a potential for a banger coming up, Joe.
we absolutely do. We've got the third and final match of the day, which is Aspire by EOS versus Windows Key. So this isn't one of those sort of higher up teams in the table versus those winless teams. Instead, these are two teams that have points on the board, that have wins in their belt, that are scrapping out for that sort of middle of the pack spot. Aspire, though, still very close to first. If they win this match right now, because they haven't played previously today, they will rocket up to the top. If not, Windows Key get a lot more competitive here as they are still, despite having a win, only 3 points above one of those elimination spots. So there is a lot to play for here for these two teams.
Okay. So that's kind of the setup here. Let's just run through what's happened so far for both of these teams. Windows Key started off the season with a 7-0 win against Evo 5, who we saw E-Wave also take them down in a similar scoreline earlier this evening. But then they go on to that previous map was on Cafe. Then they go to Bank against Flawless 7. They get beaten 7-2. For the other side then of Aspire, they are topping the group right now. 2 wins, no overtimes, 7-5 on Club against Empire, and then a 7-2 on Chalet against Evo 5. They are the two weakest teams now out of the way for them. It's all going to get harder from here, but 6 points in 2 games is already pretty impressive. So we'll just have to see how they can perform. The social vote, very, very close, Joe. 58 compared to 42. Let's have a look at the staff predictions as well, because who do you reckon is going to take it? I'm seeing a lot of the Spire love
Well,
here.
I'm going with Windows Key. It's a little spoiler. You'll see it in a minute. I'm
There
going
we
Windows
are.
Key. You're going
Same.
Windows Key. Might be just that
Nanos.
Konski bias.
Yeah.
Nanos, Windows Key. Up the misclick. That's all I'm going to say. Up
Yeah.
Konski. So many sort of UK names here that we've seen in the league time and time again get pretty close to success. They're a strong team. And although maybe they're trailing in points behind Aspire, I just got to have that inherent bias towards them, right?
Yeah.
I think Windows Key are winning this. And it's not the most analytical thought, but who cares? I'm supporting them. They're going to take it.
Okay. Let's have a look at the map because opinions may change when we see the map pick, obviously. Oh, that's not great.
Another one.
That's
Yeah.
that's not ideal for Windows Key, primarily because they got beaten 7-2 by Flawless 7 on that same map last week. They didn't win a single attack, and they are starting on the attack.
Well, look at it this way. That was 6 opportunities for them to learn from their mistakes. So Surely, Windows Key, they've got to have something stacked up here. They've got to have something ready to play to make sure that doesn't happen again because there's no way you get 6-0 twice in a row, 2 weeks on the trot. That just
Surely
doesn't
not.
happen. You've got to learn something. I don't care if the enemy team, if Flawless 7 just pinned you against the wall and kept hitting you constantly. You've got to learn something from that. You've got to learn something to stop them from doing the exact same thing to you again. So at the very least, they're probably going to get one round on the attack. But UK Massive is the this thing we
This is
completely
true.
forgot to think about that. And we forgot that Konski was on the team. So the excellent brain of Konski, along with the play of Taras, they've got to get something going here. Surely they've got to somehow break through. They can't get 6-0 again. I refuse to believe it, and I think they're going to have that fire lit under them. They're going to have sort of they've learned from their mistakes. They have that sort of knowledge now. They are gonna blast through this
How
map. They
many
are
how
gonna
many
get
caster
the win.
curses can we get in one pre-show
Exactly. Well,
segment?
we just gotta hope it's like a double negative, right? If we just keep piling them on, eventually,
Right, this is like
something will happen.
octuple at this point. Like,
Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? But maybe we can look at this a little bit more sort of analytical. It does favor Aspire, not only
yeah,
because of that 70 loss, but Aspire in general just performing better. They have those 2 wins under their belt. So they are sort of coming into this as the expected winners. But as we said, also only 3 points separate these teams. Very close. Sort of middle of the pack scrap that could have sort of big implications heading into those later days of the group stage. So
this
this
is
is
true.
still just as important.
And we'll be heading into the operator bans now. Aspire starting us out on the defense. We've got Windows Key starting out on the attack. Hopefully that disconnect is going to be rectified. But first off, Ying taken off the board. I believe we saw her in play last map. Yes, indeed, we did. She was banned away in our first match of the evening. And she's going to be similarly taken away here by the defending side of Aspire. Windows Key taken away the knock as well. Two operators that were in play last time found some mixed success, it's fair to say, when it comes to the attacking lineups. Joe, what's your take?
It's certainly a bit of a different ban phase. Obviously, Solace though being that kind of one common thing in all of these ban phases. But yeah, Ying and Nook going off the board. Nook certainly at one point was very, very potent. You could combine her with a lot of different operators with nades. You could just be a very strong opening front line. With that sort of rejigging of nades, though, we've seen Nook kind of fall out of favor in terms of someone like Gridlock, who has that extra utility on top of the frag grenades. Ying going down, to me anyway, shows that they really want to have a solid defense on the basement and also potentially that second floor. Ying can be very good at sort of masking the flaws of the attacking push, right? If you maybe spend too long on your roam clear or you lack some of the necessary utility, bring a Ying along. You can just spam 6 projectiles into the site and get something done with that disruption. So that's why a lot of teams choose to bring her. That shows to me anyway that Aspire don't really want to deal with that. They want to force these attacking teams to actually play the game up to a high standard and not have some kind of band-aid fix things put on it, which also I guess you can extrapolate from that means they're very confident in their attacks, and that could be confidence that is misplaced.
I'm still just worried for Windows Key a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I'm worried for Windows Key purely for my own predictions. And a lovely little 360 spin there from our observer, Stucky, who's been on the sticks. So just shout out the behind the scenes crew as well. We've had Voight on the production as well. Possibly from Stucky. A little bit of a reminder to how that previous map ended. Certainly a dramatic fashion, it's fair to say. So let's head into this one then. They've been defending down into the basement. These first 30 seconds have kind of gone off without a hitch from either side. Still placing some utility from the side of Aspire. A little bit slow to set things up, but Windows Key haven't had that necessary firepower to approach this. Some of these line scans starting to come through now as well, just to try and clear the positions of some of these roamers. This first minute very much about gathering intel from Windows Key.
Yeah, very, very quiet here. That just almost increases the potency of these piece of utility that the Spire have got. The Fenrir gadgets become a lot more of a problem as the clock trains down, and Shivers is continuing to get more of those whammy magnets, but still, there's just no engagements. Both teams really just feeling each other out. Loki can hear those Hibana pellets going down, but doesn't want to expose himself, so reluctantly, he just allows that hatch to get destroyed as the line swing comes out. Could really signal the start of an execute or at least a push, and we do get that. Zakaria gets rid of Carol there. Finally, first pick going the way of Windows Key, but immediately he has to back away. That Fenrir gadget still causing a lot of problems for the attack here as with it quickly entering the second half of the round and still quite an uneasy silence. Gunfire is eventually being exchanged though as the trap seems to have been sprung there. Casper does eventually, well, that's Shivers, picks up that kill, but Casper lets himself be known on that ground floor, gives away his position, but does end up getting that pick. So Aspire managed to even things out. Can they end up winning this round though?
That seems to be the question. Shivers challenging the hatch yet again, taking a lot of damage for it. Manages to dip away. Player inside a garage not providing any sort of pressure or any sort of damage either on towards the player just trying to escape into the final 50 seconds of this round. Still, there's presence on the top floor from this defending side of Aspire. Loki taking some damage, but Tata's taken out by Shivers onto a double kill. The leg spotted by Eternal from the upstairs hatch now into a 3 versus 3. 40 seconds left in this round, and we head to another little bit of a standstill, just trying to poke and probe towards the bomb site. Konski trying to push through, probe, find anything. Obviously, case in hand wants to make sure that the plant is going to be safe. You want that to get secured. The magnets are going to claim some of these flashbangs, and in goes the plant. Just the sound being masked by those flashbangs going off, but in comes the run. There's a kill from the hatch. Eternal, a triple. Now Future, the last player left alive, and he's shut down by Konski. This round looked like it was going to go the way of Aspire. They started off well, but Windows Key had the better late round, and that's what really mattered in the end of things. Of course, it's 1-0 to the British side.
Yeah, and the big issue there for Aspire was they simply had nothing for plant now. Goyo, I believe anyway, lost that Nitro Cell now, has no explosives aside from his primary gadget, and the Valk, the only C4 on the board, was roaming and was end up getting taken out by those attackers above the site. So they reluctantly had to just leave that case to get planted there. They couldn't afford to swing out because of the control the attack had over the hatch. So it was really just a bit of misplayed utility there from Aspire that allowed Windows Key to take the opportunity, get that plant down, force things into their favor, and end up winning the round. But it was very, very close. And as he said, Aspire's early sort of roaming game was quite potent, was quite good at delaying time, was quite good at stalling out the attack here. And it was a very slow round, but Windows Key came out ahead, and that's all that really matters here. They've got that one next to their I guess it doesn't say their name because they're on console. They have that one next to Orange Team. They won that round. That's all that really matters here. So Aspire, they've got to improve things, and immediately we see another Nitro Cell and 2 more impacts there downstairs. So they have something to stop the plant with this time. No smoke though. And that is usually a very, very common pick here. So I'm still a little bit bewildered as to why they aren't just going for what works for so many teams.
Casper as well is only just placing his Black Eyes 15 seconds into the action phase. So, yeah, maybe a bit of misplaced utility there, not playing things quite correctly. We saw the pre-place from Loki as well onto that square balcony. I'm assuming the Black Eyes will be deployed to help with that as well. I'd imagine just trying to gain some of this information, see when someone hops into that door, they can be taken out by that C4. But Zacharias managed to slip through, is going to go through unpunished. And now it doesn't even matter. You might even be able to catch Casper off guard, who's just hiding behind his archive case, not wanting to peek for now. But still that possibility. Shivers as well. Here's the sound cues from up above him. Still a 5 versus 5 though, Joe, a minute into this round.
It's such a slow-paced match of Siege here as Casper is spotted on that drone, a prone play on top of square as well, exchanges a couple of shots on his legs. Casper crucially stays alive as Loki has been forced away too, but still, Nobody's dropping as we're entering that second half. Caster Cursed to Eternal takes down Casper. That's one of those Nitro Cells off the board, Aroma off the board, and that really puts Windows Key in a very good spot here. They seemingly have ground floor control. One player at the top of blue, one player in open as well, actually, so they need to do a bit more drone work, but they know he's there. Eternal whips a couple of shots, ends up picking him up. Double kill for him elsewhere. Players going down 2 versus 5 now. Aspire in a much more dire spot than they were last round.
Yeah, this time it doesn't really look close. Tassa's is going to get felled, but still going to be able to be picked up. Carol is able to dip away. Eternal takes a drop instead. Was it on purpose? Who knows? But it has just costed the team a pick 2 versus 3 effectively until Tatas can get picked back up. For now, it's going to be the 2 versus 3, and indeed secured by Future, now making his rotation back down the stairs. That play is entirely unpunished by the side, but Zachariah, 2 very quick kills at long range. 1.5 times scope coming in massive there. What a shot that is on the second. Just a little tap. That's all it needs for Windows Key to go 2-0 up. They've already equaled their number of rounds from last week, and crucially, they're on the attack, Joe.
Yep. One big issue though with Windows Key there, they did sort of slip a bit when it came to discipline in that late round. We saw Tyler's getting down there, and instead of picking up his teammate and then maybe going for the response, Eternal just instantly drops the hatch. And when he does that, he not only sacrifices that one pick, he essentially makes his team go down by 2 players because no one was in a position to pick up Tyler's after that. He ends up getting confirmed dead anyway. So that was really bad. It brought it from a 5v2 to a 2v3, much more winnable. Luckily, Zakaria, brilliant play, brilliant shot from the Lion there, just going for that first jiggle peek, taking out the one player, holding his long angle on the stairs because he knew that player would still be rotating back. He really bailed them out of a round that could have been quite a humiliating loss. Still, they got it done, and their early round was a lot better. They just lacked that little bit of discipline at the end, which could have been scary. Meanwhile, for Aspire, though, things looked a lot worse for them. They were dropping players incredibly early. There wasn't really a focused roam game amongst each other. It was just 3 isolated individual players. We need to see more teamwork on that extended hold, or else they will just get picked apart once again.
I'm just slightly... We've been hyping this game up, Joe. Right now, it doesn't really look the closest either.
Give it time. Give it time. We're still 4 more rounds in this half. Plenty of time.
Plenty. I mean, Aspire could even end up winning this half right now. Do I expect it to happen? Probably not. But, you know, with a new site comes new opportunities up on the top floor. So, you know, there's always chance. And something that I want to see from Aspire is it being more than just Carol and Shivers getting picked. You've got 3 players all sitting on donuts right now. Nerd, it seems like, has not even been in a single engagement, sitting 0 and 0 and 0. Tatters, at least, does have a couple deaths to his name and an assist too, so bit of a team player there. Casper wants that hatch opened up, maybe to rotate upwards through the hatch. I'm not entirely sure why, when there's a perfectly good staircase right next to him, but, you know, could come in handy. Loki is possibly aware that Zachariah is on this positioning, takes a bit of damage, but Zachariah finds a kill onto Future first. Now the line scan comes in, these defenders going to be rooted in place. Now, there is a rotation up the hatch from Casper. Tatus is somehow getting the plant down. Hello? There we go, Aspire, they've woken up, but not before 2 more kills can come through. Make it a 3rd. Zachariah with his 2nd in the round. Possibility to get his 3rd. No, caught in the reload by Carol. Again, having to be one of the only 2 players on the team to find picks. 2 kills in this round for him. Has to make it an ace. Has to make it a 1v4 clutch if this is to be successful. And they're swarming from every single angle. Bit too delayed on the shot there for it to be a success there. But I think that was really the main chance. That double swing onto the window was the main chance to find these kills this round. Should being the operative word there, Joe. Should be over.
Yeah, it would require immense heroics from Carol that he wouldn't even have a chance to act out. Konski takes him down, and Windows Key get their 3rd in what was a very peculiar round there. It seemed like they were very eager to get that diffuser down, and there was some coverage there. They didn't expect, I believe, Carol and that Frost to go for that angle. They thought Zachary had it covered, and they must have just slipped by. But then the more sort of strange thing that happened there was it seemed like everyone from Aspire peaked at the same time. No one really had confidence in Carl to get that pick, and I guess in that position, you want to try and divert attacking attention away and try and make them watch as many different angles as possible, so you can at least have a hope of getting the diffuser. But I guess they didn't expect for Windows Key to just win every single one of those 1v1 engagements, because that's
Yeah,
exactly what happened on site. The numbers just quickly dropped there into that essentially 1 versus 3. It was just a it was a strange round. It looked as though perhaps Windows Key had sort of jumped the gun a bit too early. They hadn't really done their full setup and they were going to pay for it with a cold case, with a lot of picks going down on site as well. Instead, they just come alive. They win every engagement they can, and it leaves Aspire trailing now by 3 rounds. It forces a timeout here. And if you're on Aspire, I really don't know how you can really break down what's just happened. It seems like no matter what you try and do, Windows Key have completely just outdone you there. There was a fast round, a slow round by the attack. Everything,
Defenders,
every
protect your
different
bombs
style
from being
they've sort of
defused by
gone for
attackers.
seemingly has worked. So now it seems like maybe they're just opting for Intel Future on that Echo to try and help those roamers out. We were pointing out previously, those roamers were very sort of disjointed. There was no real cohesiveness between them. So maybe an Echo drone is exactly what you need there. You can drive it
potentially.
around, spot out attackers, help your players like Casper, like maybe even Loki as well, to just get those
Attackers
picks
have
with a
discovered the
bit more
location
of
of a
an
bomb.
advantage on their side. But if this doesn't work, sort of alarm bells really have to be ringing for Aspire here, because then you'll be 4-0 down,
10
your
seconds
timeout
left.
won't have worked, Windows Key will have gained back their momentum. Things could be very
5
bad if this
seconds left.
adaptation doesn't work out.
One thing I've noticed as well is I'm pretty sure all 3 games so far we've had a 3-0 start and then a tactical timeout. In one of them it worked, in the other one it doesn't. But either way, that round was the only round that that team won. So hopefully we get something a bit different here. Maybe even a 3-3 half would be nice. A very early C4 from Loki, pre-placed on the window, perhaps trying to find the person that's meleeing the barricade. Unfortunately, it was shot out from below instead, so no kills get found from that. Again, some plant denial that could be very useful. We saw in one of the rounds here on the basement, it get very low on time, diffusers starting to get planted, and they weren't able to really find the plant denial off of that. Those C4s can be incredibly helpful for it. As more information's coming on through, Shivers is dead.
Oh no.
Loki is dead. Eternal Tatters are the ones to pick up those kills, to claim those lives here in the early round. First minute gone, 2 players gone from Aspire. Already, we're seeing these negative trends continue.
Yeah, Casper spotted as well. They know he's on that sort of left side of open area as well. They get a confirmation with those feet as well. So Casper, not long for this planet, likely. Shots do whiff on him, but eventually gets caught. 2v5 now. It's
15
just those
damage?
site players. The Echo, the Kayad, not even the Echo, just the Kayad with that shotgun as well. Doesn't have the rate of fire for it, and a flawless round.
Unreal.
Eternal just cuts them up. Any hope that Aspire had of sort of quashing that momentum, of getting a little bit of a foot back in this match, gone. Windows Key, they keep the pace, they keep the ball rolling, 4-0 for them now. They've definitively won the half on their attack. Things are looking very bad for Aspire here.
This might be a bit cheeky to ask, but I'm going to ask Void if we're able to get those map stats up, just to see whether Bank is playing more attacker or defender
Defenders,
sided.
protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Because that would be interesting to know. You know, there might still be a chance of a comeback, even with, say, a 4-2, but what I really don't want is another 7-0.
Bank, as of the start of the day, so I'm not sure if this is updated yet, it is 1 attacking win to 8 defensive wins.
Okay. That's so far in ESA, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But granted, that's probably, those stats might be like doubled. Okay, now it's 8-13 because we've played it 2 times. We've played it once now. So
Yep.
live stats update here. 8-13. So 21 total rounds played on Bank. So it is looking quite overwhelmingly defensive sided. Obviously, not as defensive sided as it was going into today, but still, stats should sort of tend to favor the defense. So that makes things even worse for Aspire here, right?
Yeah, I was just like, maybe there's a chance of it being attacker-sided, but no. It seems like this is their best chance. Windows Key, though, what an improvement from that previous week, right? Let's throw some praise in there, especially on that previous round. Those drones are coming alive again. We're getting so much information. The drones, the line scans. Aspire
Oh,
cannot be comfortable in wherever they're playing. Hunted down in every inch, every single corner of the map. No matter how big of a map bank is, the surface area does not matter. Aspire are just... It's like a culling, Joe. Windows Key
really
are
is.
population control right now on this Aspire side. And Zachariah is going in again. They have the Dockerby calls. They could even potentially get the wall bang here. Shotgun out through the wall. They now definitely are aware of this position. Zachariah isn't looking for it, though. Instead, more worried about Casper playing inside of tellers. He has the information. That's the thing. Both... This team, they know everything that's happening. Zachariah finds a second, tatters again. Surely not another flawless round. It's certainly on the cards. Casper in future, not a kill to their names. Have to try and stave this off.
I have never seen a Lion player this sort of attracted to engagements. Lion, you usually want to stay alive to get that utility out. You have those scans, you have those EMPs, as Tatters getting that diffuser down, likely behind one of his shields. But Zachary's just going for it. He's like a heat-seeking missile, just charging at defenders. Sure, he's taken down, but Nerd picks up the slack, takes down the remaining 2 players from Aspire, and now... Okay, we already talked about sort of alarm bells going off. This is just sort of... This is DEFCON 1 now for Aspire. Things going horribly. 5-0 down their defense. A side they should be winning. They have sort of everything going for them as well heading into this match, but they just can't handle being the overdogs here. Aspire are just crumbling, and, well, Windows Key are just eating them up here. It's bizarre how Zachary is continuing to find these opening engagements on the Lion. No one's really stopping him. We're seeing these defenders running away. Maybe a bit of aggression is just what you need to try and get a single round in this half, or else you're going to have a mountain to climb heading onto your attack.
I really don't know what you do here as Team Aspire. Every which way you go, it's just failure. That's all we're seeing from this team. I was hoping that this game would be competitive, but right now Aspire look like they're asleep at their consoles. They look like, I don't know, maybe are their controllers disconnected? Who knows? This
Maybe.
is not the game that we expected, is it?
That really might be the only answer here, because yeah, we said this should be a more scrappy game. It's a mid-table match, you know. This isn't sort of these winless teams going against the top dogs. They should be really putting up like a fight here, but no. And now Konski, he's on that Monty. He's there to really just be an annoyance, trying to just make things even worse for Aspire, even more annoying to play around. Just trying to get in their heads, maybe. If they end up winning this, 6-0 off the back of Konski just walking around on Montagne to rub salt in the wound, things are going to be horrible in that second half. Absolutely horrible. Of course, we still have another round to get there first, and no opening engagement for almost the first minute. I don't want to cast a cursor, but Zachary, on that Ash this time, is actually sort of the most passive we've seen him.
It's interesting. That's certainly a word for it. It is interesting from these teams. Loki does get the opening pick. Okay, this is good. This is better. Konski taking some damage as well. It might just be a 5-1. Has to just dip away from this bomb site. Impact grenades coming through. The dread mines as well, making this very, very difficult. Windows Key this time have been halted at that first attempt, and Zachariah in the tunnel, still holding these angles on the top floor. There we go. Spotted a player, but not finding the kill. Shivers gets the kill.
A bad whiff from Eternal there, but Konski, he's still applying more pressure, gets one pick on the Montagne. He's gone for a sort of around-the-world approach now, all the way there in the archives as Zachary's holding his flank on the Ash still. Konski once again back in square, just hopping over the window, trying to find anywhere he can as Tatters gets another pick. Windows Key are back into this, even more so. Tatters gets 2. Konski can get that diffuser down as well. Shield on his back, protecting him. Things could look a lot worse now for Aspire, though, but they get that pick. They even things out, and that really means Konski can't put the diffuser down
Oh,
until man
Zachariah.
advantage leveraged in their favor. Future alone in the 1v2. If he gets Zachary, much more winnable, but Konski's getting that diffuser down. If it gets down to 0, it's a lost round there, basically. Zachary playing very passive. He knows the value he holds as Konski extends on that shield. It's lost. I'm going to say it right now, Cameron. It's lost as Vertical is taken.
There's
Konski's
no
on
way
that
this round
Montagne.
is won.
They cannot get that diffuser disabled. A 6-0 half. Not if
Whoa.
Konski gets down, though. 1v1.
1v1, Zachariah. He's caught on the banister, but Future's not sticking it. He's looking for the gunfight. That could just be a critical mistake. But no, Future has taken him down. A round on the board for Aspire. That's what they needed. It's not a 7-0, but still a 5-1 attack in half for Windows Key.
We cursed it. We cursed that post plan. And in fairness to us, seemingly no way you lose that. You have a player in square who can just play very safe. Zachary unfortunately got caught on those banisters though, and then tried to sort of retake top square again. Didn't go for any kind of engagement at all, was caught sprinting up. And you had Konski on that Montagne. Obviously, he was low on health.
Unlucky kill.
A single bullet down to him.
Yeah.
But how... It's incredibly unlikely you end up taking a Monty out there because of how just finicky the animation is. Combined with the
that's
sort of
true.
the pressure of the diffuser, the stress of there being one other player as well, things just shouldn't really transpire the way they just did. And yet here we are. Aspire did win a single round there. Every comeback starts somewhere.
Yay.
The bad part is that now they swap sides. They've got nothing to really learn from that. And to be fair, even if they didn't swap sides, it was one off a 1v2 clutch. Their sort of fundamental gameplay hadn't really improved that much either.
No.
So Aspire have this clean slate. That could be good, but that could equally also be bad. If Windows Key have a very sort of solid, very good defense here, Aspire could easily still be out in 2 more rounds here. 7-1, not looking unlikely at all.
Again, there's still a chance. But considering the difference between Windows Key, they didn't get a single attack on this map last week, and now they've got 5 of them. It's they're looking like a much improved team. This is sort of what we'd expect from these players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the 7-2 loss is not indicative of these players. At all, looking at Konski, looking at Tatters, looking at Nerd especially, like, to be honest, all of them, Zachariah and Eternal are 9-2 and 9-4 right now. Like, even if you're just going based off of just basic kills and deaths, this is a much better look from this team than we saw in the previous week. But tactically as well, we can see everything is sort of clicking in place. That previous round, yeah, sure, didn't quite work, but that one was in the luck of the gods.
Yeah. It was a clutch. You can't really plan for them. It's just something that happens, and you have to just deal with it. It's really based on how you can kind of recover from that mentally, and so far, Windows Key, they've got a pretty strong start here. Not a single one of their roamers falling early, and Talus has just been taken down by Shivers, but Zachary, so far, I was going to say, was alive, gets taken down as well, and Aspire have quickly taken this ground floor here, so things not actually looking too good for Windows Key as these hatches fall under attacker control here. They could very quickly aim to have an execute. Smokes on the board for them. They could easily just sort of cut the site in half, but they have to deal with Konski first on these blue stairs. A very powerful position for the Mute here. Has that shotgun, has the ADS, has the Goyo as well in case things go badly. Things not looking good for him at all as Carol just... What? Carol just swings and gets the win eventually. Nerd trades things out. Eternal as well on that elevator, so he can apply some kind of aggressive force there. But things still looking very, very bad for Windows Key in this round.
Yeah, 4 versus 2. I'm kind of sick of seeing that scoreline from the games earlier today, but this one is different. Nerd on this close angle. Do they check him? Are they aware? Yes, they do! Eternal gets 1, but he's shut down by Loki. They actually trade each other out. And Aspire have their 2nd round on the board.
And a much sort of better looking Aspire there. Obviously, there's nothing to really compare it from. Attack and defense, 2 completely different sort of game styles. But they were a lot more confident, and a lot more cohesive, sort of playing as a team there compared to their roams and their defenses, where they were really quite sort of isolated individual. They played a lot of that attack together, holding each other's angles, holding each other's flanks as well, and allowed them to quite easily dispatch of those roamers. And surprisingly, Windows Key, they're just going back to the basement. They're going to reattempt it again. No glaringly obvious changes to the roster for the looks of things. I'm not sure if there was an echo in play last round though, so that could be the change they need if they want to get a little bit more aggressive and disrupt these Aspire attackers earlier on the round, because that is the one thing you could maybe hold against Windows Key in that round. They were very passive on that roam. They were basically just holding their ground in open area. Sure, they weren't getting picked until quite early on, but they also weren't getting picks. They weren't wasting that much time or that much utility. So maybe an Echo Drone is exactly what you need. Just drive it around, make your roamers more of a threat to the attack, force them to use more to deal with you. And that could be what they need. We're seeing as well a much more aggressive hold here too. Tadas and Zachary now on the top floor instead of that ground floor to just make the attack waste a bit more time.
It's a bit of a late setup though from Windows Key, potentially just rotating around some of that utility. They haven't spotted Shivers coming in towards this map. The pre-fire from Nerd comes out this time. Shotgun on these stairs a little bit higher up, a little bit better placed to find those close range kills. I'm still confused as to how Konski didn't get one in that previous round, but you know, sometimes the Siege can just do you like that. You just have to roll with the punches. This first minute has been fairly slow. Eternal is taking some damage now that I say that, and taken out by Loki. A very long angle kill. So he's going to hop in. The C4 up from Zachariah isn't going to find one, but the gunfight should be his. It's whiffed on both sides. Pistol up. Now the vertical pressure coming through as well. He has to get out of there and does manage to escape successfully for now. Now caught on drone. They are going to be aware of this rotation. Shivers taking low damage. Zachariah. Carol now stepping up to the plate. Zachariah head on a swivel, and there's a trade from Nerd into a 3 versus 3 with half the round left to go.
Yeah, an absolute bloodbath around this square position, but still, even man count Nerd playing aggressive on those blue stairs, but his only ADS there is out now, so he has to get a lot more passive here. Can't risk that go canister being popped either, else he will likely die in the fire damage. So he's got a very difficult game to play here. The ADS will recharge though, so he's been given a bit of a lifeline there, but he's still in a very difficult spot here and can't afford to die, really. He is the only thing stopping the attack from charging down blue stairs here, as they've already got the rest of their setup required for that actual hatch drop in the plant. They just need to deal with these server players who they quite quickly dispatched of last round with that hard reach gadget going down as well. It forces Nerd to die in this spot. He can't retreat anymore. He has to die here and take down as many people with him. Sees the elbow, gets one down. Beautiful. Can he get a second? No, he doesn't. Whiffs the first shot, hits the second. 1v2 now for Casper, as he does end up getting down one, but Nerd still a bit of a problem here as he can now retake vertical.
Yeah, just coming around this corner, not watching. There's the kill. On to Nerd. Just picking up the fuse. The 20 seconds left. Konski playing on the Echo as well. Perfect operator for this. And they haven't spotted the yokai. He doesn't know. 10 seconds left on the clock now. He's taking these swings as soon as it gets to 7 seconds. Surely you hear the yokai. Surely you know it's going to be coming for you. There comes the first shot now. No more time. But he shoots one, shoots two. There's no time. Konski, you have to run for this, my friend. Casper still sticking it down. There's nothing he can do. Konski, just a little bit whiffy, but still finds a shot. Still gets the win for Windows Key. And there it is. Match point for the British side. 6 rounds to 2 Aspire. Need 4 in a row, and they still might even come away with a loss after that. That's already a point on the board for Windows Key, taking them up to 4 overall.
Yep,
just one more round.
It was another messy round, and the strange thing about these two defenses we've seen from Windows Key is that it seems like a lot of the time the attack is still dictating the pace. They're choosing which sort of interactions happen, usually from a roam. You'd expect the roamers to go hunt out those attackers, try and waste that time, try and force them to get through them. But this time, it's the attack very much hunting them down, as the roamers are just kind of sticking their ground. And I want to see a bit of a change there. Obviously, being in the second floor site this time, that's a lot more of a... It's not really necessary because a lot of the action will be happening on this top floor. But if we do get in a situation where Aspire string together a couple of rounds and Windows Key once again head to the basement, I'd like to see more of just an aggressive roam. Use those echo drones to your advantage, because we saw last round they were exclusively used for plant denial. We saw both of them on the site. There was nothing assisting those roamers up top, and it initially cost them one of their lives. We saw a very early death on that open area position. So things still aren't perfect for Windows Key, but we're now in the spot where Aspire has no lifeline. Windows Key need to get a single good round, even if it's just something like a crazy individual play or a clutch. That's all they need now, because they've reached that 6-round threshold.
Yeah, absolutely. Major update again, lost beat net 8-6. So there you go. For all you few M&M followers out there, Joe is currently bawling his eyes out. There you go. There's a quick update. Still got a chance.
Don't say it's over till it's over.
Absolutely. But let's not get distracted from this game too much. It's kind of more of the same, right? This early round is going pretty slowly, trying to open up that Kanto wall towards the elevator. It has been muted out for now, and there's still opportunity for possibly an impact trick. Some damage dealt down below, actually. Future still providing a little bit of oversight. Shivers, though, has chased off the player that was pressuring downstairs. Loki now going to send up these cams as well, trying to find all the information. They now know that someone's definitely playing inside of elevator. Where was this sort of intel in the previous match? Oh, Loki nearly finds a shot as well. Konski playing with fire and dips away just to a little bit more safety.
Yeah, but instantly, that spot is retaken. This time it's Tadders. He wants to go instead. He has faith in himself, but once again, another one of these defenders backing away. Zachary, though, that star player who's been a little bit quiet recently, gets one. Shivers taken down, but he himself is traded by that LMG off the grid.
Oh,
Eternal
my word.
gets another bloodbath, this time onto Casper, that Jackal, who, strangely enough, I believe was he outside there? Loki taken down as well. 4 versus 2, a stat line we've seen so many times as Future quickly tries to bring odds in their favor. As Carol, though, taken down 1v3, 1v2, a clutch required for Future. Taros and Nerd, the only 2 defenders alive here. Diffuser is in the hands of Future, so there is a chance for the Hibana here to get the clutch, but with no intel, things are going to be very, very difficult.
We were joking, Joe, when we said 7-0-7-1. The next game will be 7-2, but it might just happen. Future here to stave off that storyline. He doesn't know. The beepers go off. The swing from Nerd is perfect. And the 7-2 win from Windows Key gets them up to 6 points. They are now climbing the group, getting higher in this status, because obviously this is an incredibly good team. Project 100 came 4th last year. You've got most of these players. This isn't even their main 5 either. However, that 7-2 loss on Bank the other week is still going to sting. That's still going to hurt. And when you have to base it off the past, it wasn't a good look for them. Incredible improvement from Windows Key inside of this game specifically. And there it is, 7-0-7-1, 7-2. Yep. The perfect sequence.
That it is. Really, I was kind of half joking with the whole prediction of like, oh, UK massive, and then when I started Bank, it's like, oh, they can learn from their mistakes, and they actually did. Yeah. They really did. That was an incredible turnaround, as you were saying, going from 2-7 to 7-2. Really phenomenal job there from Windows Key, just completely dictating the flow, the pace of the majority of those rounds, picking apart those Aspire defenses. Just beautiful play from all of them, really. Hats off to Zachary being such an effective entry player as well. Really good for him, as we've lost Cameron. He's gone. He's completely vanished. I'm not sure if it's okay. So you can't hear him. I can hear him. I can hear him. You can't, because we're getting audio through video. He's still here. His browser just crashed, apparently. I just think he wants to leave me, to be honest. But anyway, we'll start the whole wrapping up of the day now. If we can get that standing of Group B on the screen now, as I see Cameron. You might just get a glimpse of him now, covered by the ESA transition there, as he's still not quite in here yet. Do we have audio, though, is the real question. We do not have audio for Cameron yet. So here's our group standings. We can see by the end of the day, Flawless 7.
I'm here. Yay!
Oh, we got Cameron.
Hello.
Flawless 7, not quite flawless, but still at the very top of this leaderboard. E-Wave
Yeah,
close behind them. Windows Key evening up their score with Aspire now, which makes things a lot more competitive in this sort of middle of the group standings here. And then, of course, Evo 5 and Empire sadly trailing still at 0 points. Things getting
yeah.
very, very tense for them now as they're still desperately fighting for survival to get in the Swiss stage.
Well, that one thing's for sure. They play each other next week. The loser of that will be eliminated. They need to get 2 wins on the bounce to have a chance. So for one of those teams, it will be over next week. Their game will decide it. I think if it goes to overtime, they're both eliminated.
Yeah. Things are
So
getting very difficult for these teams, and
yeah,
you've got to feel
top
for them.
4
They've
pretty much confirmed at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's out of their control. Sure, they can win
Yeah,
these matches, especially between each other. If they win the match against their opponent, they're going to have a better chance. But you then have to start thinking about other matches going to OT, other teams not getting 3 points from certain engagements, and things get really messy then. Obviously, it's out of your control.
for
It
sure.
can really just vary massively. Sure, we've seen kind of storylines like that before throughout this whole competitive sort of scene. We'll have teams sort of having very slim chances, but still making it to events like GT, I believe, to SI last year. The one
Yeah.
they ended up winning at 6%. Crazy storyline for them. But still, these things can happen, but it's not likely. And
No.
you'd rather be able to get there through you playing a good matches of Siege, having a good group stage, than hoping that other teams sort of fumble and fail at the last hurdle, because that can also just really hurt your morale, your mentality.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a tough one. Like we've been saying, the top 4 for that group is pretty much confirmed now. Um, obviously, mathematically there's still a chance, but practically it will be E-Wave, Flawless 7, Windows Key, and Aspire going through from Group B. Obviously, this isn't just the end of the tournament here. We've got so much more. We've got 2 more weeks of phase 1. Then we head into that Swiss system. Then we head into the finals where we start to get some more of those best of 3s, best of 5 final, grand final. You know how that all shakes out. And I'm very excited for when we get to that point to really see who is actually challenging, because at the minute we're
Yeah.
just in groups. So when we start to get to Swiss, that's when there's a lot more sort of mixing around between these pools. Anyone can really play anyone when it comes to that point. That's where the excitement lies for me. Still got a couple more weeks of these groups to go.
Yep.
But
And
I don't know.
yeah, although it looks quite clear cut as well with those 2 teams still having 0
Yeah,
points, there's still a lot to play for because of the nature of Swiss. If you go in with a higher seed, you get faced against sort of theoretically worse opponents. You get put against sort of lower seeded opponents from other groups. So there's
for
still a
sure.
lot to play for here. It's not just sort of done now because, oh, we can all kind of rest because 2 teams run 0 points. These teams are still going to want to win these matches for bragging rights, but because it will help them later on, they will get an easier sort of way to those playoffs, to potentially the finals as well. Because if they leave Swiss stage with a higher seed, they will theoretically again get put against lower seeded opponents in the playoffs. So there's a lot to play for still, even if this group sort of from a glance looks very sort of done already.
And there's other groups as well that are a bit closer contested. I'm especially looking at Group A for that team. That group is very, very close. It's particularly near the bottom. So still a lot more ESA action for you in these next couple of weeks leading up to Swiss. As it stands, so that's it from us tonight. We had Stucky on the observing. We've had Voight producing, doing a wonderful job. I've been Pastor. I've been joined by Pooble, and we are signing off for what has been a fairly quick play day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.